Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Is that time once again to return to the hallowed halls of the Pauper format. My name is John Partridge. I am joined today by
William Leach.
And we're going to take you through 4 rounds of some wonderful Pauper action here from Darkster in London. We're going to send it straight down to feature match area. The players are ready. We have 2 red decks facing off against each other. No other colours. Burn, I believe, is mono-red in this format.
Yeah, and then we've got the red deck wins it.
Which is, I would imagine, mono-red. But we're going to send it down to feature match area. The players are ready, and we will be off to the races. So, ladies and gentlemen at home, Will, what are you going to see in the 2 different decks while I go and tell them to get started?
So, basically, the only difference between the red deck wins deck and the burn deck is the primary base of who's playing more spells versus creatures. And you can see that within the hands. I believe Carl on the left has... That's Lava Spike and cards as such to... I think that's John getting them started now. Good. And I think that is very important, and it will give him the edge in the matchup because it allows him to actually interact with what his opponent's doing.
Which card's that?
I was just talking about who had more burn spells versus the other.
Ah, yes, that is true. So we're going to see Carl taking a very early mulligan, and both players actually decided, we're not so happy with these ones. I'm going to send back, but I would imagine that this card will be fairly popular in both decks, I imagine, is Lightning Bolt. The 1 red mana, deal 3 points of damage to target creature or player. It is obviously an uncommon up there, but it is a common from a very early printing of the card.
Like
M10, I think, or something like that?
It was a common in M11 as well. I'm not sure, I remember it was printed in alpha, all the way back in alpha, but I'm not sure about the rarity within that. And John's gone off again. But looking at the hand again, I think that'll have to be another mulligan. And are we straightening up the table? Because I don't think I saw any lands in Carl's hand, unfortunately. On the other side, some good Gobbo's on the way. Oh, he's kept, so that's a scry.
So, Carl happy with his 6. Joseph looks like he made his hair. Players are going to have a quick scry. Obviously, when you start your hand, you start the game with a hand size smaller than your original starting hand. For the actual rules description itself, you can scry 1. Carl having a good think here before he decides what to do with his hand. Looks like he has a lightning bolt ready in hand alongside a couple of other red cards. Obviously, the burn deck, mainly burn focused, or what sort of creatures do we expect to see from the deck?
That I'm not really sure of. Every time I've played against the burn deck, I tend to just right-click concede game because I'm playing a blue deck. And
sure.
What's the point?
Yeah, the red decks are quite interesting in this format. They are sometimes a lot more heavy on the creatures. So we see a hasty 1/1 at the moment.
Sure.
In the mod conscripts, I believe. We're going to see a response of a burn spell straight to the face. Dealing with that, we're going to pass the turn back and a draw of the turn. Deciding not to use the lightning bolt, instead using one of the cheaper red spells from the deck. I'm going to do what we normally do: resort back to the mobile phone, resort to the powers
of MTG Goldfish.
The MTG Goldfish, because that is the only way to roll.
I believe that's a Searing Spear, or am I wrong?
It does a lot of damage. It certainly dealt with something in the front of it. So we're going to MTG and Goldfish.
And you can see what I was mentioning earlier. All the creatures are being removed at the moment, so that's...
Inner Flame Acolyte hits the battlefield. Is a 2/2, when it enters the battlefield, gets +2/+0, and obviously gains haste, so it hits for 4. Looks like we had a suspend spell over to the side. Players are going to pass the turn back and on to Carl's 3rd turn. Down to 16 currently, Joseph at 19. So we are going to also at the same time have a look at. So any of you who are watching right now, we do have the little Twitch chat open next to us, so if any of them feel like posting us anything you'd like to talk about or see, please feel free to let us know. I was going to say, you play blue decks. This must be very foreign to you, watching people sling red spells at each other.
It's not black and it's not blue. I do not like this.
So we're going to see another. So let's look at burn. So what sort of thing are we going to see from the burn deck? So we have Firebrand Archers and Thermo Alchemists seem pretty good in this sort of deck, but we also have Needle Drop, which deals 1 damage to target creature or player that was dealt damage this turn. Draw a card. Pretty good. So we're going to see a pass back at the turn We're going to see, oh, speaking of the Firebrand Archer, it enters the battlefield now. So this was one of the newer cards from one of the more recent sets in Hour of Devastation, the 1 in a red 2-1. I'm going to pull it up on the stream so everyone can see. And quite a nice addition to these burn decks, as good as it was actually in that limited format, and it was pretty good in that limited format, finding its way into Pauper here, able to keep the red decks going. As you see there, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, Firebrand Archer deals 1 damage to each opponent. Very good in Two-Headed Giant. Did a lot of work with that in Two-Headed Giant.
It's also really good just with the burns within this mirror as well, when you can't attack and you just end up flinging burn spells at their face.
Yes, that is also a very good point, especially in a deck where you're looking at a mountain of 29 burn spells.
Not enough.
Definitely not enough. But Curse of the Piercing Heart is what the card is on the other player. Sorry, if you talk over there. So, obviously, the Curse of the Pierced Heart, 1 in a red enchantment or a curse. Enchant player at the beginning of the enchanted player's upkeep. Curse of the Pierced Heart deals 1 damage to that player, obviously turning on his ability to needle drop, which obviously replaces itself with the draw card, but also does a lot of damage, as we see a suspended Rift Bolt on the table here. Joseph, unfortunately, flooding out a little bit, already up to 4 mountains, and doesn't seem to be doing a lot else.
Considering he's not making many other plays, you'd assume that the rest of the cards in hand are probably just lands as well.
Lands or burn spells without much of a target. Obviously, we can see a Chain Lightning. I think he might be more willing to cast that now, as it can't be redirected by his opponent. Obviously, you need double red to Chain Lightning. We're going to see a tap land come into play here from, I'm not sure which set that is. We're going to see 2 mana being tapped, and
I believe that says he can't block this turn.
Okay, that would be very helpful. This will be a lot of damage this turn. That's another 4 points of damage coming through. And we're going to see if I can find, to the joys that is,
Let's give him the lightning bolt.
As we have seen in many other games, keeping the board fairly clear is always a promising place to be when you are the burn player, not allowing your opponent to generate too much defense against you, able to keep it going. So we're going to see the...
Definitely. So I'm curious at where this Rift Bolt will go. Oh, it goes to the face, because as you were mentioning about keeping the board clear, I probably would have aimed it at the creature.
Yeah, so obviously the Mud Brawler cohort, only a 1-1, so it's not much of a threat right now, and obviously Joseph taking a lot of damage each turn. It's at least 1 from the Curse and also 1 from the Firebrand Archer, meaning that he can start to pull ahead in the damage race. Although he's down to 13 himself, it's getting quite close at the moment. Players fairly close, despite the mountain of lands, excuse the pun, that Joseph had on his. It was a terrible pun. It was very punny, I believe, is what you're looking for. It's all right, don't worry. You get used to it. You'll get used to it by the end of the day. We're going to see an attack for 2 here by the Firebrand Archer. Joseph still not happy to fire off his Chain Lightning yet, not quite at that point yet.
I wouldn't blame him for not using the Chain Lightning yet, because sometimes it is a good idea to play it when your opponent wants to put it back, just so you can get it again.
That is true. See another, looks like a 1-drop here in the form of a Mog Conscripts. Obviously, a good place to be. You get to attack for 2. Obviously, it can block, it can't attack unless you have cast another creature spell this turn. We're going to see an attack for 2 here. Joseph is very far behind the damage race at the moment, needs to try and get something going. The red deck wins, not doing the red deck wins part with the 5 lands in play, and the 2 creatures are not quite able to do as much. We're going to see an untap here with 2 Firebrand Archers for Carl and a mountain of burn spells in hand. Looks like a Chain Lightning of his own. Another Lightning Bolt, and we could see almost lethal damage being applied this turn. We're going to see a Chain Lightning.
Wouldn't it be lethal, because you can...
He can redirect the Chain Lightning to one of the Firebrand Archers. So it means that the can't go through for lethal. So Chain Lightning, the amount of 1 mana burn spells that have been produced is quite a lot higher than you may think. So Chain Lightning,
you pay 2 red mana to copy it and redirect it back to something else. Hopefully. Well, it's not a copy.
So it was redone as a invocation piece. So it is a single red mana for a sorcery that Chain Lightning deals 3 damage to target creature or player. Then that player or that creature's controller may pay reds. If the player does not, he or she may copy this spell. We're going to see Joseph picking up his cards here, lethal damage being applied by Carl with all the Firebrand Archer triggers going onto the top of everything, obviously deciding to fire everything at Joseph's face, and obviously with the upkeep trigger from the Curse not quite working out. So we're going to see them go to the sideboard here, so we can see some electricaries, looks like some
bringing those
Rains. Yeah, there's a lot of there's a fair number of 1 toughness creatures for in Joseph's side of the table. I think if you're on Joseph's side of the table, you're definitely much more appealed by an Electrickery with a number of Firebrand Archers.
Definitely.
You did see it. It's a risky card in that it may affect your board, but you have so many creatures that are actually pretty rubbish that you can afford to maybe drop out in favour of some more interaction with your opponent. But it looks like he's only going to board in 2 cards. Maybe take some of the Chain Lightnings out. I mean, if your opponent lands a Thermo Alchemist, it's fairly easy to remove still for the burn decks. He's only 3 toughness.
Yeah, like all of your burn spells that you're playing anyway will just hit everything. So it's a good idea. You primarily want to work on recurring damage, so cards like your creatures tend to be what wins you the matchup. Definitely, as you see it played in Legacy and Modern, it's that mentality.
Yeah, it's very interesting that the red deck plans, I must say, whenever someone plays a red deck against me, I'm always much more scared when they go 1 drop, 2 drop than when they go, oh, I've got some burn spells for you, and that's it. It's definitely a lot scarier when they have the creature plan to back it all up, as it means it's just more consistent damage when you're trying to kill your opponent. So players going to shuffle up for game number 2. Joseph going to be on the play, so we will quickly up the game for Carl, and on to game number 2. So you play, what do you play, while we're waiting, what do you play in Pauper then? Or what don't you play is might be the better question.
So I used to stream Pauper, and back then I ended up getting a new deck every week.
Which is definitely possible.
Yeah.
Quite easy to do.
The most expensive deck at the time was 20 ticks online. So you win 1 league, you get a deck.
It's pretty good.
And so
not bad. It's a good return, that one, I believe. It's good value.
But I ended up brewing some very, very bad builds, like 4-color slivers.
Okay, I can see that working. When you have to have the mana sliver, I'm guessing.
It was Naya, and you used Mana Weft Sliver and Gemhide Sliver, which are the 2 mana slivers. But the only splash for blue was for Distant Melody, which you spoke about last week with the Elves deck.
Yes, definitely an Elf seems a lot more easy to cast when you are a 2-color deck to the 4-color monstrosity you were trying to brew up. So we see players having a quick chat here as they shuffle up. Joseph making sure his deck is suitably randomized, definitely finding some extra lands on the top of his deck that he wasn't expecting to find. So one of the things I have noticed about the Pauper community is that it is a very, very friendly community, very open.
Definitely.
Everyone knows each other. I mean, the amount of times you walk over, say, in Modern, and you ask the players, oh, what are you playing? It's like, oh, don't want to tell my opponent. In this, he goes, yeah, I'm on red deck wins, and he's on burn. It's like they pretty much know what each other's playing before they even get to the table, which is great. It's one of the wonderful things about this format is that everyone gets on really well, and no one really takes it too seriously, or themselves too seriously, which means that players are much more open to open things. Now, I'm going to answer the question to KO Avalon on the chat. What is the field look like tonight? Pauper is very open. No, I mean, in honesty, there are a huge number of different decks. You have Delver decks, you have Control decks, you have your standard Stompy and Elf decks as well. But in terms of interesting decks, to me, they're all interesting. More so than any other format I have commentated on, this format's amazing because you watch some people play the same deck week in, week out, and then you realise that the decks are actually completely different each time you watch because they all have different cards in them, and they'll change some about, and it's such an open format you can change cards about at the drop of a hat. So players are looking at hand. Joseph did mulligan it down to 6, unfortunately, and yes, hooray for Pauper. It is Monday night here at Darksphere. Unfortunately, Joseph going down to 5. Not happy with either of those hands, and Carl feeling very good about his chances in this match. 1 game to the good already off the back of burning out his opponent with some Firebrand Archers. How much does mulliganing to 5 hurt a red deck wins, especially on the play against the burn deck?
On the play, I'd cry.
Okay, and why would that be?
So there used to be this old idea of going on the draw in red mirrors because of how quickly you lose your cards, especially if you're trying to trade your burn spells for their creatures, just having more cards than your opponent, and it's an attrition matchup. It's all about having more than your opponent at any given time, and hand advantage definitely comes into that. Like the card earlier we spoke about, Needle Shot, I think is one of the best cards in this matchup because it replaces itself.
That is very true. The ability to draw a card after you've cast a spell is pretty good. So in terms of the number of players, we have 24 players here for Pauper tonight, which is more than I have seen for some of our Eternal formats that do come on a Tuesday and a Wednesday, which is obviously a very positive thing for the Pauper format. So we're going to see a cycle. Unfortunately, Joseph not keeping a land and not drawing a land either. And maybe not as busy as when the Professor was here, but the Professor does draw many a crowd when he does join us for some Pauper. And we're going to see a land off the top here for Joseph. He's found a land, able to play some spells, maybe make a 2/2.
And as you mentioned about how friendly the Pauper community is, Carl's happy about that because it means he gets to play a game of Magic instead of Solitaire.
Yeah, it's true, and that is one of the things. Like, people are much less distressed or distraught if they have a really bad game, but also your opponents. It's just a lot more fun. If you get Thermo Alchemist here for Carl, and we're going to see maybe a mana being tapped and a removal spell on to the. I know, which is a suspended Rift Bolt, which again is pretty good come next turn. So, can you find a second land, or be able to cast it? Oh, we found a second land, so we're doing good. We're playing Magic here today. Goblin, the Mod Conscripts obviously needs another card, but again, he needs something to be able to remove this Thermo Alchemist, because Thermo Alchemist does block incredibly well. We'll see what Joseph has for this turn. Like maybe something like a Goblin Cohort and a Lightning Bolt would be hugely good here. Able to remove the Thermo Alchemist and start getting in some damage. So we're going to see 2 mana being tapped. We're going to see a Valley Dasher, and we're going to attack here for 4. I think we're going to. Oh, interesting. Me see a double block here. No, we're just going to see a stand in front with my 0-3, take 2 damage. Carl down to 18. Joseph still at 20, and untap and pass back. There's a lot of haste in the red deck wins.
Yeah, Valley Dasher is a 2/1 with haste.
It's a 2/2 with haste, and it must attack each turn. These are rules taking it must attack. So if your opponent resolves a big monster, it still has to attack. But when you're so fast out the gates, you might not be able to worry about it. So we're going to see the Thermo Alchemist being tapped, dealing 1 damage to Joseph. Then we're going to see a Rift Bolt going upstairs down to 16. I think we're on the full-out burn and out plan here today. Looks like there is another Thermo Alchemist in hand alongside a Chain Lightning and some other burn spells.
Another Thermo Alchemist.
Burn firing on full cylinders here today, and now he's got enough blockers to block both of the 2/2 haste creatures. So we're going to see what looks like a Chain Lightning the draw for the turn. I'm eyeballing getting rid of some of these Thermo Alchemists before they ruin your day.
Definitely, because if even a Lightning Bolt here would be 6 damage instead of 3.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage. And it can go to and then you can start killing creatures and still deal 3 damage upstairs. See a Fire Blast, a Searing Blaze, a Needle Shot. Needle Shot not very good on this board. They are all 2/2s at the moment.
The Archers.
So the Archers are 2/1, but obviously the 2 creatures themselves are 2/2s on the side of the red deck wins. So we're going to see a Chain Lightning taken down. We already see the Elf player walking past very happily. Stompy, in fact, not elves today. Stompy instead. We're going to see the Thermo Alchemist eating the Chain Lightning.
Yeah, you were correct, as you said. You can't leave these Thermo Alchemists on the board. They will easily win the game on their own if left unchecked.
It's a lot of damage, and 2 of them does end up. It probably doesn't matter which one you hit. They're both going to do the same. Unless you can remove both of them, which would be great. But maybe Joseph doesn't have another play this turn, which does mean that I would like that he has another removal spell. It would be very good if he does. But even a creature spell would allow him to continue to push damage through on this board state. We're going to see a Goblin Cohort in, so an attack for 4 here. That Carl will be taking 2. It's fairly free attack, which does help him a lot. Looks like Carl may have taken out the non-summoning sick ones, so that obviously he can't now tap at the extra part. So pass the turn back here. Oh no, he took out the other one, so we're going to see damage down to 14. And we're looking at a Needle Shot, taking 1 damage to the Goblin Cohort and drawing a card.
And untapping the Thermo Alchemist, which means more damage.
God, that does stack up so quickly. It's very interesting how quickly those cards do stack up. Just in untap here.
I used to play that card in Standard.
You're a very horrible person, as it turns out as well. That was quite a good card. Needle Drop, sorry. That is a really interesting piece of art. Is a giant dropping a needle from a cliff. He's really interesting.
Hopefully onto a fairy.
Yes, first it was the plovers and the mole drifters. Now it's knitting needles the size of javelins from a Kithkin farmer. I just love the flavour text of some cards that they produce. It's brilliant. We're going to see a Searing Blaze here after the land drop comes down. Deal with one of these creatures and deal 3 damage to Joseph, and also untap the Thermo Alchemist, dealing, in fact, 4 damage, 5 damage now for the turn, and this is starting to stack up.
One more burn spell, I think, just does it.
Oh, yep. The shake of the hand, the Thermo Alchemist and
the Firebrand
and
Archer deal the 2 more damage you need in order for Carl to win that game, and that's a very swift 2-0, I must say.
I would expect that the red decks wouldn't take too long. I mean, that is very quick, I would describe. And 31 at Dimus, 31, hello, welcome to the stream. We're going to bring it back to the booth here. Players already done. John Partridge.
William Leach.
I'm not going to butcher his name because he accused me of that last time, so he's now going to be able to say it himself, and he'll be referred to as Will, and that will be it, and he can do his own surname. But that does bring us very, very swiftly to the end of round number 1. In terms of coverage, we're going to carry on talking for a little bit longer. The judge hasn't looked at me yet very disapprovingly to get me to move on so he can do his thing. And we're going to talk a bit more about the joys of Pauper. And you were talking earlier about the decks that you play more. Would you like to discuss a bit more in depth about the sort of things that you enjoy playing and what you enjoy most about the Pauper format while you're here with us tonight?
So I enjoy Magic as a game because it's very interactive. So I like decks that do that. And especially in Pauper, blue is amazing. You've got the best spells in Legacy and Vintage are commons. Brainstorm, Daze, Preordain, all your cantrips. You've got Delver if you wanted it. So one of my actual first deck in Pauper is a deck that you were playing tonight, which was Blue-Black Teachings.
Oh, so much fun.
So good. When Modern Masters 17 was printed, I ran round to every stall local to me that was hosted a draft that night, asking if anybody pulled any foil mystical teachings.
Oh yes, the foil teachings. We did enjoy playing a game against someone where we did enjoy the whole thing of teachings, and he said that's fine. And we go teachings for teachings,
and then play that teachings.
I did prior to this explain to my opponent I was now going to perform the most powerful thing that you can do in Pauper. It's a lie. It's not entirely true. It very much confused him when we teachings for teachings, but then he understood when you have the teachings in your graveyard and you start going off again when you find any removal spell that you want. Oh, you can play both. You play alchemy, you play 4 fish, and you play teachings. It's great. The fish is huge. It's a 5/5. I don't cast it in any other. Well, no, I cast Tombstalker in Legacy now, so not quite the same.
What do you play in Legacy?
Bug Delver. So moved from Blue-Black Reanimator to Bug Delver. Definitely much more fun. Tombstalker, it flies. It's huge. So it is double black, admittedly.
See, I agree with that. So right now, the format has got a lot more aggressive than to when I started. So I prefer Alchemy right now because it means you can get your Gomag Angler out a turn earlier, and you want to be more proactive with your plays now.
Agreed. However, it is still Pauper, and you know what? Play what you want, because that's the most enjoyable bit about this format. No one's going to, no one's going to look at you and go, "Why are you doing this? Why are you playing these cards?" Because that's the joy of it. You can pretty much play what you want. But so you play blue, you play black.
Yep.
Do you play anything else in Pauper, or is that pretty much the stock for you as you play different blue-black decks?
I played the one-land spy deck.
Right, okay. You did mention this one, and I didn't ask. What is one-land spy deck?
So it's a deck that I saw it on one of the professor's videos, and it was on a Channel Fireball video as well. You want to play Balustrade Spy to mill your entire library, and then there's a ritual which gives you 1 black mana for each creature card in your graveyard.
Right, okay.
And then you use a amulet to put a exsanguinate. It's a card that it's like a fireball effect on top of your deck, and then you just kill them that way.
Right, okay.
There's also another one which mills your opponent in case of life gain effects, stuff like that.
Yes.
And it's really nice because you can play a full set of both Simian and Elvish Spirit Guides.
So it's not really... what is its one land then? Or is it just that's how many lands it needs to go off?
It doesn't need that land to go off. The one land is a basic forest, and you use land grant to get it.
There we go. The land grant itself. Obviously, and land grant is, for those at home who do not know...
You can reveal it at the beginning if it's in your opening hand to get a basic land from your deck.
Okay, and you exile from the game. However, it is instead, for those of you who also play elves, and it is in that deck as well, it is 1 in a green and does the same effect, or just do it at the beginning of the game and have it basically replace itself with a land, which isn't good, which isn't too bad. Obviously, decks in Pauper can play a small number of lands when you have things like land grant. You have, obviously, Ash Barrens as another way of finding your lands, tutoring for them as well, which is obviously a very powerful thing. So, that's what you have played. What other nonsense have you played in some Pauper, especially on Modo, because that's mainly where you play?
I have. I recently played the Heroic deck,
Right, okay. We have someone playing Heroic.
It's a really fun deck. I started playing that in Standard, so I'm like, you know what, I'll just play it in every format if I can.
Sure, that also works. I can understand why that would be a thing.
I played Stompy.
Stompy is an interesting one that I've seen a lot of people playing and have picked it up a lot. It seems really interesting, actually, as a deck. Like, you just sort of play 1 mana 2/2s that can't be blocked. But effectively anything, because that's what Pauper is. You have a 2/2, which then looks across your opponent and goes, that's a pile of 1/1s. Okay, let's go. Crunch in.
And then you make it bigger, and then they cry.
Yeah, Elephant Guide apparently is quite good in this format. 3 mana, +3/+3, and when it dies, you get a 3/3. That's good by standard realms as well.
I love effects like that, especially in Pauper because of how much removal there's going. If you can, because it's naturally a 2-for-1.
Yeah, and obviously when we're talking about how good the removal actually is in Pauper, bear in mind you can play with Doomblade, Tragic Slip, Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning, Diabolic Edict. You can play with Chainer's Edict. You can play with Gaia's Edict or Geralf's Edict. The black target player sacrifice a creature, instant lose 1 life.
Gareth's Verdict.
Gareth's Verdict. My apologies. The removal is quite good. So having the 2-for-1s, especially when you're trying to make a massive man, it does help protect you a little bit against that. And especially with the heroic decks as well, with the introduction of the Cartouche of Solidarity, being able to make a 1/1 as well, obviously insulates your massive creature against some of those more
Edict effects.
More powerful Edict effects. And they are pretty powerful, these Edict effects, especially for 2 mana. And as you say, when you're trying to play against all the burn decks now, it's where you keep up with them. Because they don't have them anymore. You can play them on turn 2, and if you're on the play, that means you can answer pretty much anything they play. And a lot of them are instant as well. Diabolic Edict, as well as Guy's Verdict as well, both instants.
Definitely. One more deck that I need to mention.
Okay, right, hit me with it.
Teamatron.
That's a normal deck, right?
No.
But it's a standard deck on here. It says so. It's
not my version.
It's the most. It's like the second. It's the second most popular, and it's 5 colors as well.
Not my version.
Right. What's your version then? Well, you play Tron. Okay, so you play the Tron lands. What do you kill them with? You Comet Storm them?
Artisan of Kozilek.
Artisan of Kozilek. Right.
It's a 7 mana. 8 mana, 7/2, Annihilator 2. I just wanted something with Annihilator.
Sure.
That was my only excuse. I just searched Annihilator, common, pull it in there. I'm happy.
Very, very happy when you get to cheat that into play, especially with the Tron lands. And how do you get their Mull Drifters as well? Value your opponent out?
Yes, of course.
I've got to ask. It can't be proven. You never know. However, that does bring us to the Ulamog's Crusher.
Yes. Every Annihilator.
Why annihilate people? Why not play fair things?
Because if they can't play lads, they can't play fair things.
Yeah, it is true. It is called locking your opponent out of the game. It is definitely a viable win condition. We've seen it in many other formats. A way of stopping your opponents doing anything at all. Looks like a lot of the players are coming to the end of their round. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a very short break. We'll be back with round number 2 of coverage very shortly. Hopefully we'll have a couple more decks on camera. One of the big aims that we do have, obviously, when we do coverage is we're going to try and bring you 8 different players. So even if you have players who've been on camera and are at the top of the standings, we'll be bringing you people who are not at the top because we want to see as many different decks as possible. But that does bring us to the end of round 1. We'll be back very shortly for round number 2 of coverage. See you then. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back once again, round number 2 of coverage of our Pauper tournament. Yes, for those of you who are watching, we have a Jeskai Kuldotha deck. Yes. This man definitely knows it better than I do. I simply know the Kuldotha Boros, much easier to run versus Slivers on the other side. We're not sure exactly which colours Marco is playing, but we are going to send it down to the feature match area where the players are ready to go, and we will soon be underway. We will give them the thumbs up. Will, you talk to them about Jeskai. Slivers is a bit simpler. You tell them what this Jeskai deck's going to be doing.
Oh, Kuldotha Jeskai. So, John tripped on my wire. The deck basically plays Kuldotha, which is a 1 red sorcery. Randomly needs to change. Oh, he's done that. It's a 1 red sorcery that destroys an artifact you control to get 3 1/1 goblin creature tokens onto the field. It uses cards like Prophetic Prism and the Lichen to draw and fix your mana. The artifact lands are legal in Pauper, which is sweet for the deck because it means you could effectively go, if you want to miss your turn 1 land drop, turn 1, play the red artifact land, Kuldotha, and
have 3 goblins and nothing else. But again,
it's still a play.
It is definitely a play. Slow. So we are going to see the players opening hands. Look like there is a
Predatory Sliver.
Looks like a muscle sliver, 2 muscle slivers, but no lands, and Armadillo Cloak, and that one's going to go back very quickly for Marco. Unfortunately here, players shuffling up. Looks like there is
Wellspring, Ancient Den.
Looks like Kuldotha Rebirth as well. Looks like a Glint.
Prophetic Prism.
Glint Hawk as well, but no white mana.
Yeah,
I think
you really need the white mana.
Looks like Thomas, unfortunately, having no white mana. Marco having the problem of no mana. Full stop. So players going to have a quick mulligan down to 6. I would imagine that favours a little bit more the Slivers deck because it's a little less reliant on drawing the correct cards. Say, for example, you don't draw your Wellspring, you can sometimes struggle to get the value you need out of the deck, whereas the Sliver deck is just going to play massive Slivers and just make them massive. Or do you not agree with that one and look at the other side of it?
So the Jeskai Kuldotha deck can cycle through their deck very easily, using cards like Prophetic Prism, Wellspring, and they just replace themselves. And with the white creatures, because there's 2 names of them, that bounce your permanents, you can just keep drawing cards. Fisher. And the other one. There is another one. Oh, there's a Lone Missionary in hand. That's a... And he's showing it up to the camera to show it's a keep. That's
good. That's what you want to see.
Nice thing to note.
Got the boss keeping an eye on us. So we're going to see a forest start here, and looks like a virulent sliver to start here for Marco. And a
poisonous one.
Yep, so poisonous 1. Marco, he does have to still have his forest. He decided to be very aggressive and play on his opponent's playmap. Seems very good. We're going to see a pair of Spinneret Slivers, a Predatory Sliver, and what looks like a, well, the Sinew
Sliver, which
over there, yeah.
It's just another Lord. That's what I love about this deck. It plays so many Lords.
Yes, it does only give +0/+1, but it still makes your slivers bigger. We're going to see a poison here for Thomas, down to 19. Unfortunately, no play here from Marco.
Well, if you have the Virulent Sliver, you don't care about the other Lords because it's only going to deal that 1 poison anyway.
Yes, exactly. So we're going to see a draw of the turn here. Looks like we have a cycle red land here in the form of... I'm going to test you now, see if you know what it is.
I don't.
The Great Furnace.
I don't. I know Ancient Den.
Oh no, the Great Furnace is... Oh, sorry, no, I lied. The Great Furnace is the artifact land. It would be a...
Okay, so I was wrong even then.
That is wrong as well. It was in the red deck, so I might have to go back to red deck wins. So let's go for the burn deck, because it was definitely in that. So we're going to see a pass back of the turn. We have... It would be a... Forgotten.
It's not a good start from either player, in my opinion.
No, we do have a Kuldotha Rebirth. So we have 3 1/1s. What we're going to do is we're going to give them some cards to represent the tokens, and hopefully be able to make it a bit easier to see.
Sure. So you see again, just poke him with that Virulent Sliver, and then he's like, "Are you sure about that?" The allowing his opponent to take it back is very nice. Forgotten Cave. There we go. That's the name of the cycling land. Thank you, Freelance. So, like we mentioned before, with the absence of white mana, Windscarred Crag is your red-white gain land for this deck, which will enable him to just make early plays later on in the game. And once again, Marco cannot find a land.
Oh, so it's a shame he did mulligan down, but he's under a bit of pressure at the moment. Obviously facing down a Windscarred Crag and 3 1-1s, a pass back of the turn, draw and finds. Well, he's got a lightning bolt, so he can deal with the threat. He also has a core Skyfisher, but I think he's wanting to find an Ica Wellspring at first to really get the value out of this deck. So we're going to see a core Skyfisher picking up the Windscarred Crag, a bit of value, bit of life gain, going to replay it, go up to 20. Thomas. His deck actually working, having to draw lands is always helpful. We're going to see an attack for 3. Take 3. Marco's still got a lot of life, does need to find a white mana. Plains would be the premium card to find at this point. A basic Plains.
Yeah.
You'd be pretty good. We're going to draw,
and
it's an Evolving Wilds.
It's a land.
It's a land, so we are now able to play Magic. So, we haven't seen the Jeskai side of this deck. We believe that the blue is just for the Mole Drifters, as actually I lie. We see a Tranquil Cove off the top here, so another life gain land. Going up to 21 here.
What are the non-token tokens?
Yeah, but they didn't bring any tokens with them. They are representing goblins from the Kuldotha Rebirth, 1/1s, red. The players didn't bring their own, unfortunately, today, so we're going to see an attack for 3 here. Deciding to keep the other ones back, obviously worried about what his opponent could do next turn if he draws a 3rd land. So yes, Jeskai Kuldotha actually having it for the Mole Drifter. No, he's going to play down, so we're going to see a Lone Missionary here for Thomas going up to the grand total of 25 life.
That's, at this stage of the game,
pretty good.
It's just huge.
Easily 2-1.
I'm curious with that attack, though, because you've now got 3 creatures back, but what can the Slivers deck actually do?
Well, it can draw a 2nd Plains, and it can play 2 Slivers.
That have Summoning Sickness.
But it helps to make the stuff bigger as a blocker. We're going to maybe see a Spinneret Sliver. No, we're going to see the Predatory Sliver first, and then we're probably going to see the 1 mana +0/+1 Sliver enter the battlefield as well. At least his Slivers can now block the 1/1s. Even with the Lightning Bolt in hand is another way that he can try and gain some advantage. Another core Skyfisher at the ready, though, for Thomas. But those 2 Spinneret Slivers may do some work if we can get to a stage where he's able to play them, working out how big the Virulent Sliver is right now. That one can't attack, but the Virulent Sliver may be able to.
It should be 2/3? Because +1/+1 from the Predatory Sliver and the +0/+1 from the... See an attack from this with no blocks?
Many Chupacabras. Many. Take them away. It's the wrong format. It's also uncommon. Why am I interested in an uncommon? But it's uncommon. It's uncommon. It's not interesting. It's not an interesting card. It's uncommon. So we can see a Lightning Bolt to take care of the Predatory Sliver.
I like that. Always go for the Lords. Everything else is just
may have tapped a blue-white land to cast a Lightning Bolt.
Yeah, might want to correct that.
No, sorry. Yeah, maybe we'll go and do that one. We'll go and check that.
I don't think it will affect the rest of this turn, but still, it's just nice to note that tapping the correct lands is important. They are playing Flicker Effects Cave of Avalon. You can see the cool Skyfisher on there, which it's a bounce effect, so it's slow, but you'll get the effects that you need. It's just really good against the aggressive decks because you can just play it, bounce it back, keep playing it, and gain huge amounts of life. And of course, with your Skyfishers and your Mole Drifters, you've got the flying that you need to go over those sort of aggressive decks.
Yeah, it's also good again, and as you said to me earlier, one of the things you were mentioning when obviously on the chat as well, when we were talking about the power of mystical teachings versus forbidden alchemy, is it's got a lot more aggressive, this format. It's a lot faster than obviously earlier on when teachings was really good because it was a lot slower. You've had the introduction of more aggressive red cards into the red deck. Valley Dasher is an example of one. It just means that you have a lot less time to afford. So being able to play cheaper spells always helps.
Yes. I think part of the reason that the format got faster as well was due to the bannings of Cloud of Fairies and Peregrine Drake, but
yes,
that was a long time ago.
Yes, but it's as much as we're talking about the getting more aggressive, you can still play so many different decks in this format, and that's one of the most amazing things is there is so many decks you can play, and they're all pretty good still. You don't have any that are just bad. because you can brew. It's a fun format. It's a brewer's paradise. We're going to see a Spinneret Sliver here for Marco, able to hopefully block the flyers. We're going to see the White Cycle land enter the battlefield here. We are
secluded step.
Oh, there we go. We remembered.
The only one I know.
that is one very well interesting way of putting it. So, let's see what the turn looks like. A land off the top. Not really draw many of his artifact lands. One of the interesting things about it. So no Ichor Wellsprings, obviously, to make the benefit of the Kuldotha rebirth. We're going to see a Journey to Nowhere, however, take care of the Spinneret Sliver. We're going to see an attack for 4 here. Might be even more. Marco already at quite a low life total. The 1/1s can't come in right now, obviously, because they are 1/2s on the other side of the table.
I don't really understand the attack with the Low Missionary. You can just block it with no effects. It's if he was holding up red mana, I can kind of understand it, because you could force the block and then bolt after damage to get that 1-for-1 that you need that you usually wouldn't. But other than that, you just go block, nothing happens.
So the plated sliver giving +0/+1. Not too bad. I do love that this deck plays the Armadillo
judge for something.
They're trying to work out how it works. It's alright, we have a judge in the room, which makes it a lot easier.
I'll be honest, that is one of the few slivers that I do not know what it does.
What, the Spinneret Sliver?
Yes.
Spinneret Sliver says, all slivers have, this creature can block as it had flying. But it's not in play, Journey to Nowhere exiles it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't get the effect. I think that's what they're trying to work out at the moment.
Yeah. What I'll do is, I don't want to touch it in case I break it, but I think it's,
Yep, that was the question.
Is that how it is?
Yeah. Well, you get to try it.
You went away, I was just trying to... There we go. It's
So they were just asking if the Spinneret Sliver was still in play, but as it Journey to Nowhere does say, it does exile target creature is no longer in play, so cannot benefit from.
Yeah, it's an Oblivion Ring effect.
Yes, it's not like your say your Pious Interdiction for those who play limited, which it's still in play. It's just a pacifism effect.
Okay.
You
I was about to
no
say,
idea
I
what
have
that card
no
does.
idea what that card does.
Okay, let's make it easy. It's not pacifism.
Okay, yeah. I know what pacifism. I've not played much limited. I'm more to the constructed side. So leads it up with another one, which is, it's not claustrophobia.
No, it is not claustrophobia or water knot or any of those other common abilities that can be played. Morph enchantments, how do they work? No, players are morph and then you unmorph them and they have an amazing ability. They're still 2/2s until you flip them up, which is always a huge benefit. You still get to make them as attackers. Thinking of Luma Thread Fields here. Morph give +0/+1 when it unmorphs, I believe, enchantment. 2 mana.
I have no idea.
Oh, we got him. Oh, we got him.
You're mentioning so many cards, and I'm just like, see, claustrophobia, water knot, silk wrap. You're naming cards that I know. John is just trying to catch me out here.
Lumi Thread Field. How do you not know this one?
What sets it from?
Sure, it's from Future Sight. There you go, Future Sight. This one.
Then
I've
how
never
am I
seen this one
supposed to
before.
know it?
Oh, don't give me that. Don't give me that. Luma Thread Field. Morph enchantment. Morph. It gives creatures you control +0/+1. It's a common, so you can play it in Pauper.
Okay, I've never seen anybody play it. How am I supposed to know that one?
Do you know what Bound in Silence does?
No.
Oh, okay. That one's also from Future Sight. It's a Rebel Aura, so you can fetch it with your Rebels.
I can name
It's a
2
passive.
cards from Future Sight.
Tarmogoyf.
And Grove of the Burn Willows.
Not Street Wraith.
That's from Future Sight?
Yeah. It got printed in Future Sight.
Okay.
Bridge from Below. That's also from Future Sight.
I know what Bridge does.
Yep. That's fine. I'm just giving you other ones that were from that set.
Yeah, now I'm trying to think of other cards from Future Sight that I may or may not know.
Obviously, Tarmogoyf's the biggest one.
Yeah. Seeing playing elves, people that can't get a hold of spells. This Slivers deck has been going crazy. That's how many Lords on the field now? 4?
Many. They are quite large slivers, and they can all block flying creatures as well.
Yes. So really what you'd like to find is another Journey to Nowhere, and that will close out the game very quickly.
2 sinew slivers, spinneret sliver, sorry, 3 sinew slivers, a plated sliver, a virulent sliver. We're going to see the Azorius Chancery enter the battlefield. We're going to see the cycle land being picked back up.
And cycled. I really like this. You're just digging for removal for that sliver. I wouldn't care so much about if they attack right now because...
But they're all bigger than Bolt. Achroma's Memorial. That was in the set. All the Ilvex.
Yeah.
Shadow.
No. Ava Mind Sensor, I know that one.
Yeah.
No, don't know that.
Bound in Silence. Can't attack or block. Rebel Aura. Bridge from Below, you should know that one as well.
I know Bridge from Below. Coalition Relic.
Yep. You do know some from this set. Darkmoor Salvage. That was also from Future Sight. Daybreak Coronet. I love doing this. Dryad Arbor.
Is that a
counter target spell?
Delay?
Yep.
Do you know what delay is in French?
No.
Retard.
No.
Because retard means slow.
No, I know.
Somebody has been sending them to my house.
Oh, good.
3 cards for me, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Fussy.
Slivers. Frenzy Sliver.
Frenzy Sliver. Ghostfire. Colourless. Because remember, Ugin's ability was referred to as Ghostfire when it was first released. We have a huge number. We have 2 core Skyfisher, which does mean that, especially with Vigilance, they all have Vigilance now. We also have Glittering Wish, was from Future Sight. And then obviously Grave Cairns, Graven Cairns, Grove of the Burn Willows.
I said that one.
I know, I'm going to... Horizon Canopy is a beautiful land.
Such a good set.
Oh, yeah. I never got to play with this set, unfortunately.
No, I started in Born of the Gods.
Leaden Fist is such a cool looking card. It's common as well. Flash Aura gets +3/+3 and doesn't untap during its turns and tap step. See a massive attack here from the Slivers. They are currently all sitting at approximately +1, 2, 3, 4. +4, +4, and Vigilance. And they have +4, +5.
I'm correct in thinking that if the Virulent Sliver...
Logic not. It's common.
Type F in chat. Of course.
Get Magus to the Moon. Charles the God. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. What did we do to deserve this today? Oh, there's another page of them as well. Molten Disaster. That's a cool sounding card.
It's disastrous.
Nimbus Maze. Pact of Negation. The packs were in this set as well. Oh, Search for Tomorrow was in this set as well.
Was it?
Yeah. I believe... No, that may have not been. No, that was Time Shift, sorry. Time Spiral. Rift Sweeper was in this set, though. River of Tears. It's like Memory Lane, recognising cards that I have no idea what they do. But anyways, Slivers attacking for a huge number here. They are rather large at the moment. It does mean that at the moment the core Skyfishers are starting to hit the bin, and this game has turned around very quickly from where it started. Marco at 4. Remember, he mulliganed down and didn't find a second land for a very long time.
It was 2 turns.
Are we now going to see an attack for 4? They actually is lethal because we managed to get rid of the Spinneret Sliver, and unfortunately, the game not turned around quite enough for Marco, but he put up an amazing fight for the amount of damage that his opponent was doing at the beginning of the game. Almost able to get there, just not quite. So players are going to start shuffling up for game number 2. Sort of things going to be looking at interaction, I would imagine. Galvanic Blast obviously quite good against the Sliver deck, but looking for more copies of, say, Journey to Nowhere, Oblivion Ring, able to answer the Slivers without many problems, and on the side of the Slivers, looking at your enchantment removal and the artifact removal as well. Things like Gleeful Sabotage might be something you would consider bringing in.
Definitely. Oh.
So we are going to go to the joys, that is the MTG Goldfish. We are going to look at, probably we'll go with Kuldotha. We'll do the Kuldotha Boris deck first, because I think it's more probably close to this one than it is. Obviously, Thomas up 1 game to 0. able to fly over the lethal damage in the end. We're going to see some Ancient Grudge. Look at it. We had some Pyroblast. Looks like he's not actually interested in anything in his sideboard, not even the Relic of Progenitus. The sort of cards we're going to be looking at: Electrickery, Goblin Shaman, Pyroblast, Relic of Progenitus, Lone Missionary, Standard Bearer, Core Sanctifiers, and possibly Reaping the Graves as well.
I can agree with that. Like, I don't see the point in bringing any of these cards in because they don't do much.
No, they don't, and that's the key. Like, your main deck's pretty good anyway. You have a lot of flying threats. You have a lot of ways of killing a lot of cards as well. You have Galvanic Blast and Lightning Bolt, plus you're able to go wide against your opponent. However, on the side of the Slivers deck,
I could see an argument for Pyroclasm. However, the problem with Slivers is when they've got the Lords. You don't care about anything else.
Yeah.
And if they've got the Lords, Pyroclasm isn't going to work. You need this one-for-one removal.
yes, and that is the key, being able to deal with all of your opponent's stuff very early on. Stuff we could look at. Possibly things like Rare Revelation, more Spinneret Slivers, depending on when he has. Maybe another Armadillo Cloak able to go over the top. Pulse of Marassa doesn't seem terrible. We see a Spinneret Sliver already in his lap. Looks like a couple of lands. A Lead the Stampede. Looks like 2 green-white life gain lands. And
Blossoming Sands?
Yep. Blossoming Sands to play to start
Question mark.
with. Untap, we're going to see a
Swiftwater Cliffs.
Swiftwater Cliffs off the top. Both players up to 21, not wanting to take too much damage this game. Evolving Wilds, many tap lands in hand. Tranquil Thicket as well, by the looks of it, for Marco here. Definitely got some colours set up this game. We're going to see another tap lands into play. Gain another life up to 22 and a pass back the turn. Galvanic Blast already in hand. Not online at all yet with Metalcraft. Needs to go a bit longer, but he does look like he has a great Furnace. But instead we're going for a
Secluded Step.
The white cycle lands, the Predatory Sliver off the top. It's pretty good. Not quite maybe what he wants, but he has plenty of lands and spells to be casting, especially with a Lead the Stampede. Other than 1 land Spire, are there any other combo decks in the format? Yes. I would class Affinity as a combo deck.
Definitely a combo deck. The normal Affinity deck or the ATOG version?
The ATOG
yes,
version.
Definitely. When you fling that is a combo deck.
So it's obviously Affinity, the version we're talking about is ATOG. Gets +2/+2 when you sacrifice an artifact to it. You have, and then you just try and combo kill them in 1 turn. There is a Storm player here today as well. We also have Midnight Guard with Presence of Gond is another combo deck.
That's the one that makes elves, right?
Makes as many elves as you would like.
Yeah, it's this format Splinter Twin combo.
Yes. It doesn't attack for lethal the same turn, but you can undo it in their end step.
Yeah.
But it is a good card, so we're going to see a bouncing of the Tapland here and a Windsguard Crag into play instead. Yes, Midnight Gond, we had it on camera last week. Did manage to pull through against the Stompy green deck in 3 games. The Muscle Sliver off at the top here. It's just too many tap lands, unfortunately, here for Marco. Not quite able to get his mana online fast enough, but we might see the Muscle Sliver down here. A 2/2/4/2 with a Spinneret Sliver as a backup in hand for next turn.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate that he played the Tranquil Thicket as the land for turn.
Yes.
Because you could have just dumped 2 Lords, and especially seeing as the removal spell of choice is usually Galvanic Blast within the Kuldotha deck, having 2 Lords just dodges it.
So we see Ichor Wellspring here. Pulls out a Kuldotha Rebirth by the looks of it off the top. Galvanic Blast in hand, ready to go. So Gond is the deck that has a creature. Yes, so Midnight Guard is whenever a creature enters the battlefield, you untap Midnight Guard. Presence of Gond is tapped, put a 1/1 into play. A 1/1 elf, so it's obviously one of those. Yeah, Retraction Helix as well is another way of doing it. I believe it's with the mill card, the artifact mill card.
I thought that was a rare.
It might be a rare, then there is another one I'm sure that you can do it with. But anyways, we're going to see Kuldotha Rebirth here, dealing with the Ichor Wellspring, drawing a card, making a 3/1/1 goblins, which will be represented by our Upside Down Magic Cards players, letting us all down by not bringing their goblin tokens. I think I might have to put together a Pauper pack of tokens at some point, and hope they don't go walkies.
It seems every time I watch this stream, they've not got tokens, no matter what format.
No. I do definitely need to do some research into getting hold of some tokens. We're going to see the Muscle Sliver still in play this turn, and now we're going to see 4 mana being tapped. Might see another Muscle Sliver, Spinneret Sliver, and Muscle Sliver here. Plenty of Lords in hand with the Lead Stampede to back it all up, especially another draw of an untapped land off the top for Marco would be a fantastic way of starting to pull ahead in this game.
Definitely allows him to play Lead the Stampede and another Lord.
Yeah. So we're going to see 1 red being tapped. We don't have Galvanic Blast mana, but we're going to cycle our... I Forgotten Cave, and looks like we drew into a Prophetic Prism, just another piece of the puzzle to get ourselves to Metalcraft, currently at 2, Great Furnace off the top.
No, it's Prophetic Prism, not pieces of the puzzle. It's my turn. It's
your
my turn, okay?
Yes, I need to get some goblins, birds, soldiers, humans, saplings, and spirits, and elves.
And elves.
Many elves, obviously. Lisa Lana Huntmaster and Presence of Gond, obviously, those as well. Yes, so Source of Magic Fund, 6% stick in basic lands, 30% bringing tokens, 10% gameplay. Clues, yes, that is also another one. Haven't really seen many at the moment. The Germ token, Elf Warriors, Treasures as well are certainly options. We're going to see the Galvanic Blast with Metalcraft. Oh, no, that's... Oh, Mutagenic Growth from Marco. That is definitely one way of saving your Spinneret Sliver, making it big enough to survive the damage from the... yes, Colony Garden also makes it 0-1, which is another thing we have to look at. Galvanic Blast dealing 4, the Spinneret Sliver, currently a 6/6 with that involved, plus flying. Don't really want to attack into that, although you could have maybe attacked. No, because they're all have reach and flying, and we see a fantastic draw there in the Vigilant Sliver. Sentinel Sliver here, we're going to see Sentinel Sliver and another Muscle Sliver here. These slivers have got very large very quickly, and we're soon going to start seeing the attack. They don't actually tap, they do have Vigilance. We're representing an attack here for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That is huge. Each of those slivers is currently
huge.
a 4/4 minimum.
So he's attacking for, okay, my math is terrible, 12?
13. I think Spinneret Slivers are 2/2. Quickly.
Probably just put it up.
Okay, we'll do it that way. Spell it then. And it's not IT. Spinneret. There you go. I've already got it here for you. How nice are we? We even had it prepared for you today, Will. So Spinneret Sliver, the 2/2, so it is a 5/5. We're going to see a lot of blocks here going on, losing one of the Muscle Slivers. Shrinking down slightly, but it's still a huge attack here from Marco. Pass back of the turn. Vigilant Slivers are very powerful slivers, so we're going to see another artifact land being drawn to the top. And Thomas has a lot of cards in hand, but not a lot of ways of deploying them into the face of these massive slivers. We're going to see a Journey to Nowhere dealing with one of the Muscle Slivers. Interesting that he went for that rather than, say, the Sentinel Sliver. But I think shrinking the size might be his game plan here. Looks like he has a Glint Hawk in hand. We're going to see Prophetic Prism making a white mana and a Glint Hawk into play. Returning the Prophetic Prism to his hand. Nice little combo there. We're going to see the white artifact land into play.
Definitely. I know you were talking about Journey to Nowhere on the Sentinel Sliver. I probably would have chosen the Spinneret because, as you saw game 1, he wins by flying over the creatures. Very much in the tank here. And that's the lead Stampede. That is the looking at the...
Look at the top 5 cards. Your library, you may take any number of creature cards with them. It should be already in the card. Already in the card image. I'll select for you, Will. Look how much we look after you. So lead the Stampede, picking up a lot of slivers. We're going to see Plated Sliver into play, obviously buffing up the power of the slivers with this toughness more than anything. We're going to see a big attack here instead.
Yeah, because that's all they needed to get bigger.
Don't approve of Kaladesh Prophetic Prisms. No, definitely has to be the Ravnica ones, I believe. Return to Ravnica was the set I believe they were printed in. Quite good in blue-white control at that point. Drew a card. That was the most powerful thing about it.
I don't know. I have the Kaladesh ones. I'm that scrub. I know they're in an older set. That's all I care about. I mean, they do the same thing, right?
Yeah, but that's like saying your revised basic planes with white border is the same as your run-of-the-mill Ixalan island. That's basically what you're saying.
I don't think a plains is an island.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is basically you're trying to say that okay, so a revised basic island versus a Ixalan island. What you're saying is basically they're the same thing. Is that what you're saying? And
no,
you're
I
wrong.
say they do the same thing.
Yes, you're right, but that's not the point. So we're going to see a cycle of the...
Secluded Step.
There we go. Trying to get you.
He's trying to get me every time on that.
Cycle of the Secluded Step here, and a cycle of the Forgotten Cave as well. Trying to get through his deck to find the cards he needs to try and get back into this game. But Lead Stampede has done a huge amount of work on top of this game and just not quite able to play enough cards each turn to allow him to keep up. Obviously, enough removal spells so far to try and keep the board vaguely clear. But we shall soon be on to the... I imagine that Thomas is probably going to struggle this game.
Rise of the Eldrazi.
Oh, there we go.
That was the set.
We're all right. We're all right.
Thank you, not Zirith-eyed. How do you pronounce these names?
Not Zyrith. Probably butchered it, but hey ho. Where were you
We
guys?
both did.
Where were you guys is easy to pronounce. Charles the God's easy to pronounce. K of Avalon's easy to pronounce. Whereas, for those of you not interested, for those who are not sure, we are at Dark Sphere in London, based just down from Lambeth North Tube Station, on the way from Waterloo train station.
That's where I got off.
Oh, he's one of the few not Cyrus. Got it. Managed to not butcher someone's name in the chat, which was great. But yes, we are based in we are based at Dark Sphere in London. And to answer your question, what blue cards is the Jeskai player running? Muldrifter is what we can tell from it. No, it is not fake London. We are in #real London here in the United Kingdom.
There's a fake London?
Probably somewhere in America, copied it, stole it.
I think there's one in Australia as well.
Probably. So we're going to see a couple of lands being tapped here. Looks like an Icklewell Spring. Looks like at least one Galvanic Blast. But Predatory Sliver, Virulent Sliver, Sidewinder Sliver, Plazy Sliver, Sentinel Sliver, and Spinneret Sliver doing a very good job of making the opponent go to the scoop phase of the game.
Just, here's my army. Can you deal with it?
Under the bus. Yes, you are allowed to have back your Journey to Nowhere, Thomas. But Marco evening the match up at one game apiece. Slivers doing what Slivers does best, making massive monsters and ending the game.
You can usually deal with one big thing. You can't deal with 7 of them.
No, they are rather large. And Lead the Stampede hitting as many as it did was very helpful for him.
Yeah, I believe it hit 4. Which
which is pretty
any number
greater than 2 is pretty good.
Yeah, even 2 is fine because that's what divination.
Yeah, that is true, and also you're finding relevant cards as well. You're finding creatures which you need to win the game, and if you've been able to tap 3 mana, then you probably got the lands to be able to cast the spells that you draw.
Exactly. I think I like Lead the Stampede better in Distant Melody.
I would agree with that. I think because you don't need to splash into a 3rd colour.
There's also the point of if they Wrath, Lead the Stampede gets you back into the game, whereas if they Wrath, Distant Melody puts you further ahead. But if they've dealt with your board, which is the time that you want Lead the Stampede, then you just cry with Distant Melody because you've I've got this dead card in hand. I'd rather have a land.
And that's the thing, is always having cards that are able to, especially if you play against, if you're playing against blue-black and they're able to remove all your creatures, then Distant Melody does pretty much nothing.
Yeah.
Whereas Lead the Stampede will always let you look at the top 5 cards and will always hopefully find creatures. So players are going to keep their hands for game number 3. We're going to start with the Tranquil Cove here for Thomas, up to 21. Marco going to draw for the turn, finds a Predatory Sliver and Forest. No, we're going to see a Blossoming Sands here for Marco.
That was very close. But obviously, you have no turn 1 play with this deck, so you usually just want to lead with that tap land.
You do have a number of them.
But not as many as your 2-drops. It's very 2-drop heavy.
It is, that is very true. Bearing in mind, most of your best slivers are 2-drops. Izzet Boilerworks here for Thomas, able to get up to 3 mana, hopefully on this turn. We see
yes, it is a Boilerworks.
It is a Boilerworks. It is a Boilerworks. Correct. I'm deliberately doing this now. We're going to see a Journey to Nowhere taking care of the Predatory Sliver straight away, not wanting to let that get anything further than it has to be, but we have another one in hand ready to go. Looks like Predatory Sliver and a Mutagenic Growth as well. It's pretty good here for Marco. We have a Forest. We're actually hitting our land drops this turn. We have this game we have Lead Stampede. We have Muscle Sliver. Obviously a good helping hand here. So we're going to see another white artifact land drawn for the turn here from Thomas. His lands flowing nicely. out of the game. We're going to see Galvanic Blast dealing with the Muscle Sliver. I think we're going to see a
Usage
Untitled Growth paying life, so making sure that he is getting the most of everything while he's playing this turn.
So it's interesting that he paid the life there rather than tap the mana. Because if you're not spending it, then
I think it's as well you can represent something. You can represent like a, for example, a aspect of Hydra.
he never paid the life.
Oh, sure, he actually did tap. He just forgot to tap the mana, deciding that he was going to do it the right way. So we're going to play a Plains here. Looks like we have another land in hand, but we have two Slivers this turn. We have Predatory Sliver and Sentinel Sliver here for Marco. The Muscle Sliver now up to a 3/3 Vigilant Attacker. Going to start the beatdown now. Thomas at 22, going down to 19 this turn.
Assembling the army. Like, it's nice having the removal spells, but in order to win this matchup, you need to back it up. You need your flyers and getting in that early damage, like in game 1 where he had the Kuldotha rebirth. That's a main deck core Sanctifiers.
It's pretty good to have.
He's not paid the kicker. It
doesn't do anything with kicker at the moment. There's no enchantments on the on Marco's side. And obviously one of the best ways of getting rid of enchantments, Core Sanctifier fits very well into what the deck wants to do. We're going to see an Azorius Chancery here, probably picking up the Tranquil Cove maybe this turn. Yep, wanting to gain the life next turn. Interesting that he didn't use the mana the other way round. That still works out okay, but these Slivers are getting rather large. They already outsize the poor Core Sanctifiers in this match. We're going to see a Forest here, lead the Stampede. One of the two last cards in hand alongside a Blossoming Sands, and yep, Thomas can see this one's going to happen. So that's a Plains. That's a Virulent Sliver. We have a Sentinel Sliver. We have a Forest, and we have a Evolving Wild. So not the greatest in the world, but two very usable Slivers at this point. Bearing in mind they are all fairly large. We're going to see a big attack this turn.
Both of which he can play. He can't play both of them, but he can play one of.
Yeah, I think you make the Virulent Sliver because you're going to be attacking for 3 poison this turn. We're going to see Virulent Sliver into play here from Marco. You don't need the second Sentinel Sliver at the moment. If your opponent's going to be killing anything, they're going to be killing your pump effect Slivers, so your Predatory and your Muscle Sliver. Marco definitely on the front foot at this point in the game, trying to now push through his advantage as much as possible, try and close the game out before his opponent can get back into it with some removal spells, some timely removal spells of his own.
Talking of which, he just drew another Journey tomorrow. And you were right, he took the Muscle Sliver.
Yep. Just getting rid of the relevant cards is the most important thing right now.
He needs to watch his upside down.
Yes, we will mention that to him after this game to make sure all his cards are the right way around. But we're going to see, looks like a Core Sky Fisher here picking up the Tranquil Cove, able to gain a bit of life. But again, these Slivers, they are now smaller than both the Core Sanctifier and the Core Sky Fisher, which means that they can't attack now unless he draws another Lord. Looks like he found another Sentinel Sliver. Unfortunately, not quite what he's looking for. Going to make sure he does tap the correct mana. Which we will go and pick that up now. Just pass that on.
Yeah, so it's quite interesting that he's making the attack here because, as you said, that's no, that's a doo-doo. Yeah, sure. You can see John's hand, and he just taps out. He's like, I don't care. And you can tell that he's got another Blossoming Sands in hand, so obviously playing you can, but it's just irrelevant by this point.
So I like this attack still from Marco. It does a lot of damage because his opponent is not a lot of life. He's going to lose 2 Slivers, but I mean all the Sentinel Slivers are 3/3s. So they trade. Obviously, they're going to lose the Virulent Sliver and the Muscle Sliver, so they're going to drop to 2/2s. But that was a big attack. His opponent is down to 7. He's very low life total at the moment. And Marco has a lot of big draws in his deck to find the cards that he needs to finish off this game. We're going to see
any Lord.
5 mana being tapped, and looks like we have a
The F&M mold
The
drifter.
F&M mold drifter. So there you are, ladies and gentlemen. That is why you play blue in this deck in the Jeskai version for mold drifter, because it's a good card.
Drawing cards, and again, as I mentioned, flying.
Yes, only a 2/2, but it does fly. It does mean that basically Marco has to draw a pump sliver this turn, either sinew, muscle or predatory sliver, to try and get any attacks through. But I think Marco's being a bit aggressive if he starts attacking, but maybe he's thinking the fact that at the moment my opponent's not able to get through me. Maybe it's worthwhile chipping in for 2 this turn, but the mold drifter would definitely be the attacker of choice. I think we're going to see an attack here for the core Skyfisher. I may have held back this turn. At the moment, Marco is definitely on draw a very good card, and Marco down to 19. He's also a lot of life totals, so he's less worried about what damage can be done across from Thomas. We're going to untap. What do you find off the top of your deck, Marco? Do you find the card you need? Looks like we found a predatory sliver, probably the best draw in the deck here for
That's just the win,
Marco.
right?
What a draw. Huge, huge top deck here, which now means that these are chump blockers getting in the way of these slivers. And unfortunately, the board for Thomas is about to look very, very small indeed. That was pretty much the best thing you could possibly top deck.
You just wanted to draw any lord.
That was a top deck and a half.
Why I like the attack, because you're just losing if he makes the lord, right? So try and fade a draw. It's the same like playing against.
So we're going to see a double block here from Thomas. He's going to drop down to 2. I think you get rid of the 2/3 because it means that should your opponents kill your predatory sliver, you still have enough things around. And at the moment, your opponent only has 1 artifact, so the Galvanic Blast is only going to kill 1 thing on the table. But we're going to see a draw of the turn. Let's find a Boris Garrison here. We're going to tap 2 mana, and looks like we're going to make an Ickle Wellspring. Draw a card, try and find maybe a Kuldotha Rebirth, but Lightning Bolt off the top. That is possibly one of the best things that could have been ripped back in return.
And there's the third artifact.
Furnace off the top. So now we have all our removal spells online, and this is going to do a lot of damage this turn. And, well, a couple of draw steps both ways. Get back into the game very easily. So here we go. We're going to see the Predatory Sliver bite the dust. Thomas is at 2 life. This is quite a scary life total to be at, and we're going to see we have a Lightning Bolt in hand as well, Boris Garrison, and double white artifact land. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to remind myself what that land actually is, rather than just calling it the white artifact land.
Ancient Den.
Oh, there we go. Even better. Ancient Den. Thanks for that. But yes, that is the F&M promo Mold Drifter. Looks like, wow. Well, top decks are a go-go on this field here today. We found Leader Stampede. Thomas has just gone, I can't even get a break here. I have the great draw, and then you get this. We've so far found I couldn't even begin to tell you what that sliver was from here, but it looks like we found a Virulent Sliver and another sliver, which I'm going to go and have a quick look at now to tell you what it is.
Sure. I have no idea myself. Does anyone know? Oh, he's playing it, so it's obviously 1 or 2 mana. Necrotic? I'll try that.
This is a metallic sliver.
Oh, metallic.
Metallic. It is a metallic sliver. It counts as a sliver. It's a 1 mana 1/1 that counts as a sliver. They are actually in turns at the moment. This is turn 0 currently right now. This matchup I did not expect to go quite this long. I did expect the games to end slightly. Yeah, need to spell.
I can spell.
I can spell honest. Yeah, there we go. So a 1 mana 1/1. It counts as it's an artifact sliver, but obviously because it's the old version, it says counts as a sliver. We're going to see them bite of the dust here, and turn number 1. Marco finds what looks like a removal spell, maybe. We still have Galvanic Blast in hand, but I don't think Thomas is going to win this game, so I think it's all on Marco to try and push through those final points of damage if he can find it. So we're at turn 1 at the moment.
And that's nice that they're using the dice to represent that.
Yes, so using the dice to represent the turns that we are on. So Thomas attacks for 2. Okay, let's take 2. Marco definitely on the, yep, okay, I will take 2. We're going to see a red mana being tapped. We may just clear the board. Looks like a, wow, that is a spell that I have no idea what it says. I'll definitely have to have a look at that one because I do not recognize their F&M promo art. I'm going to be truly honest. I do not recognize that art, but we also have a Lightning Bolt in hand and Boris Gavin and the Selfish Sliver. And we're going to draw. So we're going to untap here. We have a 1-1. It's now turn 2 of extra turns. We're going to draw for the turn. We can find a muscle sliver. That is pretty good. They are pretty good. That's firebolt apparently. So let's put the old firebolt in here, and if this is even a card, I will be very impressed. You look like that. Deal 2 damage to target creature or player. We can find out.
With flashback.
But the flashback seems pretty good with the amount of mana available to Thomas, and he has plenty of cards in hand. Another Ichor will spring off the top here. I think you can afford to do this. You've got so much mana in play. You have 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 mana from 5 lands. It's pretty good. We're going to see the Ichor Spring. Looks like we found another land, unfortunately, here. We're going to see Tranquil Cove back into play. Thomas up to 2 life. Taking down the Muscle Sliver, he is at 1 life, and it's currently turn 3, so both players have 1 turn. So I think
he
Thomas
can't win, so he's just playing not to lose. Yeah,
so we find Predatory Sliver. That's fine. We'll make it. Oh no, so it's Mutagenic Growth, sorry.
Yeah, just
attack. Your opponent's going to block you. You get to get some things out of them. So we're going to attack for 1. We'll block. Through the motions, we'll Mutagenic Growth. They will kill the Core Skyfisher. We'll pass the turn back. Turn 5. Thomas is going to pass the turn, and that does end
it ends on a draw.
in a draw. Probably appropriate, I would say. Both decks seem to get to do their thing in one of the 2 games. And then game 3, it looked like Marco was very far ahead, but unfortunately a double Sentinel Sliver draw rather than a Lord. Unfortunately putting him in a position where he wasn't quite able to close out the game. So Jeskai Kuldotha drawing against green-white Slivers. We are going to get removed from the computer by the judge who wants to put his results into Wizards Event Reporter. My name's John Partridge. William Leach will be back with round number 3 of coverage very shortly. Round 3 is upon us from Darksphere in London, here for Monday Night Pauper. John Partridge, William Leach here to take you through 2 more rounds of Magic. We have Monogreen Stompy in the hands of Russell Murtlock Bentley, and we have a more interesting one in the green-black Sacrifice deck in the hands of Jonathan Kilman. I'm really sorry if I butchered your name, but that is an impossibly hard name to pronounce for those of us who do not know it off the top of our head. We're going to send it down to feature match area, give the players the go-ahead, and we're on to round number 3 of coverage from Monday Night Pauper here at Darksphere in London. Players are ready with their opening hands, and we will soon be off to the races. Looks like Russell is going to be on the play with his Stompy deck. Looks like we're going to start off with a turn 1 Volt Scourge. Going across many different formats is that powerhouse 1/1 flying lifelink card. Phyrexian mana. Bit of a cheats way of casting this card.
It's a 1/1 flying lifelink. Like, the cost of 2 life isn't.
It's pretty good, especially when you can put an Elephant Guide on it. We look like we have Aquarium Ranger. Looks like we have a Nettle Sentinel to follow up here for Russell. Looks like we're going to put the life totals down to 20 and 19. Jonathan playing his Jungle Hollow to start with. These life gains from the Council Tarkir block coming in very useful in Pauper, actually, keeping your life totals very high while filtering your mana in both your colours in the opening of 2 turns. We're going to see a draw the turn here. Looks like we found a Dead Weight. Looks like there's a Stinkweed Imp, a Golgari Brown Scale, and a Dead Weight in hand here for Jonathan. He's going to, looks like he's in a Dead Weight, the Nettle Sentinel straight away. Don't want that card to be around any longer than it has to be. The other beats not to doing an awful lot. A Tranquil Thicket also in hand. Looks like we're going to cast a... Now we're going to be tested.
Green thing.
That's really unhelpful. That is really unhelpful. Right then, so back to the joys of MTG Goldfish we go. So, how far down the list of decks do you think we have to go? We're going quite far at the moment.
Yeah, I imagine it's quite down there.
So what we're going to do is instead, let's type in...
Spore Frog.
Spore Frog. It's a frog. Get him with a frog. So
Shroomy Ribbity, okay.
Shroomy Ribbity. So we're going to put Spore Frog into the thing. It's a green frog. It is sacrifice Spore Frog, prevent all combat damage that will be dealt this turn. Another Aquarium Ranger
it's a
here.
fog. Frog.
It's a fog frog.
Hey, there we go, not Cyrus.
It's a fog frog. Oh yes, the power of the fog frog. And there's 2 fog frogs in play. And it also is another way of fueling the graveyard as well, getting some benefit at the same time, especially against the more aggressive decks. We're going to see 2 mana being tapped. Looks like we're going to have a Stinkweed Imp. Well, we've got actually 3 mana because we have a Golgari Rot Farm. We're going to replay the Jungle Hollow, jump back up a little bit. The 1/2 Death Touch Dredge 5 coming in quite useful here. We're going to see a draw the turn. Another Volt Scourge here. Unfortunately, Russell not able to find any of his payoff enchantments at the moment. So a slightly different version here from Jonathan, much more on the Dredge Sacrifice effects. There's less of your Young Wolves, Fume Spitters, etc. in this deck. So, what do we have to follow up? We know he has a Brown Scale in hand, the nice way of gaining some incremental life, especially against these green decks. Looks like we're going to put some counters on our... It's the Howl of the Hunt pack here. It has Death Touch. The Stinkweed Imp. It's going to be pretty rough here for Russell, as these cards are going to trade off. So they're going to trade. No, it's going to die. Not hoping quite what it was going to happen, but we're going to play another Volt Scourge here. Drop down to 20 again here for Russell. Unfortunately, the Stinkweed Imp having Death Touch is quite good.
Yeah, it just means it's a free block and anything.
But it's not Death Touch exactly. It is a version of. So if we pull up the Stinkweed Imp, I believe that's how you spell it. For those more modern aficionados, the Dredge staple.
And Legacy.
And Legacy, 2 in a black, 1/2 flying, Dredge 5. When Stinkweed Imp deals combat damage to a creature, destroy that creature.
So it's different to Death Touch in that it's specifically combat damage.
Yes, it's specifically combat damage. We're going to see another Golgari Rot Farm. Bounce the Jungle Hollow back to our hand, and no attacks still. No attacks with the frogs, with a Fog Frog. And we're going to see another forest drawn here for Russell. His Stompy deck not really firing on all cylinders today. The Stinkweed Imp doing a very good roadblock impression against Russell's deck now. Maybe if he was able to find one of the 1 mana Bloodthirst 1, it would be quite good. But again, he does have to find a Jungle Hollow into play. Back up to 20 for Jonathan here. So it looks like we have a... We'll have to get that one pulled back on top. We're going to have a Brown Scale enter the battlefield here, and we're going to attack with the Stinkweed Imp for 1.
Yeah, he's just pulling it over. There we go, it's pulled nice and over. Hold on, John. I'll be honest, I have no idea what half of these cards do. It's just very unfortunate, like, Russell seems to be flooding out very much. Oh, there we go, Young Wolf. So, John was incorrect earlier, because that is definitely a Young Wolf I see in hand. Oh no, he was talking about Jonathan having the Young Wolf. Yeah. Okay. Why would you frog on the 1? Maybe. Oh, he just wants the creatures engraver. Yeah, I get that. Leads up with the Young Wolf and passes the turn.
So the tormented existence. Hopefully going to start drawing some extra cards. We're going to see the sacrificing of the Fog Frog, the Young Wolf into play from Russell, another Swamp into play. We're going to see that's a fish, a hard cast fish. That is a large monster. Very, very rarely do we see the 7 mana being tapped for the fish. Normally it's 1.
Yeah, it's usually
maybe 2, not 7. It's very rare. Very lovely. Not normally, not normal. So we're going to see draw 10. We're now up to 7 mana here for Russell. Definitely flooding out. Not so good against the Tortured Resistance deck that can just start to value Russell out of the game. And the Stinkweed Imp are doing some good work here, keeping the Vault Scourge back if it ever did get too far ahead. Yes, we have now seen 2 copies of the Gomag Angler being hardcast in Monday Night Pauper. It's definitely not something we're normally seeing. Definitely a lot of fun, but definitely not something you expect to see. Oh, I love this format so much. It's very funny what you can see being played, and it's this huge monster, and it's just like, yes, 7 mana, that's easy. Let me tap all of this mana and deal with it straight away. Yep, we're now going to go back to the little thing we know as MTG Goldfish and go looking again.
and play the game of who can figure it out first, Chat or John?
Definitely Chat. Chat is always faster than John. Can definitely Crypt Rats. Yeah, let's go with that one. That does.
Oh, I know what Crypt Rats does.
Oh, good. We got bingo. We should do bingo cards, because then we can work out what actually we do know what the card does, and we can then. So Crypt Rats, yes, it is a 2 and a black X. Crypt Rats deal X damage to each creature and player. Spend only black mana to in this way. Looks like we're going to raff the board instead, dealing 2 to everything there.
I should have known that. I play it in EDH.
Getting rid of the entirety of Russell's board minus the Young Wolf, which comes back with its Persist trigger. Sorry, its Undying trigger, and instead we're going to Torture Existence. We're going to play a very large monster normally, and we're going to use the Howl of the Hunt pack here.
Maybe start with flashcards before you get to bingo cards. Definitely flashcards would be very helpful.
Bingo cards is more fun, though. Why do I need flashcards? Bingo cards much more fun.
You're our flashcards.
Yeah, the chat doing a very good.
We don't need flashcards. We've got you.
We have the best flashcard in Twitch chat here today. So, going to untap back with Jonathan here and his Tormented Existence deck. Definitely, I also there's the dredge of 5 here, putting a load of cards back into the graveyard. Stinkweed Imp back to the hand. Pretty good blocker against this rather large Young Wolf. It's grown up a little bit. It's a 6. It's a 5/5 now. Very grown up.
So it's a teen wolf.
It's a teen wolf. Probably very aggressive as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend watching that show, by the way.
No, I've never seen it. I'm not going to even consider seeing it either. I'm quite depressed that you even know what it means. I'm very disappointed in you, young sir. Very disappointed indeed. So,
I've just got to be honest, I have no idea what half of these cards do.
Oh, don't be like that. It's the best thing about this format, actually. Well, actually, one of the most interesting things about this format is learning what all the different cards do.
Yeah.
Because when I've never played Pauper, actually having the ability to see a lot of cards which have either I've never seen played or has been something that has been really good before, but then sort of never existed in Legacy and Modern. It's really nice to see that there are a huge amount of cards that have a lot of place still in Magic for those who want to play them, and probably one of the best parts of this format. So,
Grave Scrabbler. 2/2 with Madly one. If you cast it
Value Town. When Grave Scrabbler comes into play, if its Madness cost was paid, you may return target creature card in a graveyard to its owner's hand. That is good. So if you discard with Tortured Existence, you spend 3, you get a 2/2, add instant speed, and return 2 creatures to your hand.
Feels good.
That feels very good. Return a fish. The fish is going to get blocked by the... Oh, looks like we have another effect here from Russell. All the kicked vines of the Vastwood here, eating the Gurmag Angler here. Putting that in the graveyard, able to try and keep pace. The Lilan Ledge Walker also into play from the Stompy deck.
And plays another Jungle Hurler, gaining yet another life.
Definitely not worried about his life when he's still at 19. And now being
with
held
Fog
off
Frog.
With the Fog Frog. Definitely very good, especially against the Stompy deck, which is trying to go quite large with its creatures and try and hit you with a lot of damage, which you can't block. Which is one of those benefits here. So, see what Russell wants to do with his next couple of turns. He's a little bit behind the gun here.
Yeah, and he's hellbent as well, which makes things much worse.
Yeah, and that's one of the hard bits as well. Is he is currently in a mode of, yes, I am massively far ahead, but my opponent's just going to start dredging these brown scales, and that gains 2 life each turn.
Yes, chooses to dredge.
Yeah, and gaining 2 life each turn seems quite good. You've also got Tortured Existence, which means you can just discard the brown scale to get back something that you want from your from your graveyard.
You've seen this played once again with Grave Scrabbler.
Going to get back the Gurmag Angler and likely get back the Crypt Rats as well. Good win condition. Russell already down to 14. The board state definitely starting to play more into the hands of Jonathan here than Russell. The Tortured Existence engine definitely fully online. We're going to see the Crypt Rats here. And that's a lot of mana to use next turn. Can the Stompy deck find its way back into this game? It looks like Aquarian Ranger may not be what he is looking for at this point.
Just feels so unfortunate because obviously what you'd want here now is pump effects. You want to make the things that you have bigger.
Yep.
And a card that's going to ramp you a little bit more isn't definitely not what you want to find.
No, and one of the things as well is the Tortured Resistance deck is so resilient to removal spells that against a deck that doesn't have any removal spells, it feels like it's pretty good for the deck to prey upon. So we're going to see a dredging of the brown scale. Gain 2 more life, Jonathan up to 23 here. Going to dredge 2 cards, put 2 lands into the graveyard. We're going to Tortured Existence, get back the Stinkweed Imp here, discarding the Golgari brown scale, and we're just going to start rotating this sequence round each turn, I believe, because this Stinkweed Imp has turned into a almightily powerful blocker here for new. And yes, they are the lovely Dragon Shield sleeves that Russell is very happily using today. He has the green ones, not actually my favourite ones, much more the black ones are my favourite of those sleeves. There are 3 colours, red, black and green. Russell very appropriately using his green ones, I would say. He's going to see the Crypt Rats, for one, deal with Russell's board, obviously dealing with some of his own stuff as well, but quite far ahead right now. Yeah, they're the new Dragon Shields. They come in 3 colours. They come in black, red and green. Russell using the green one. Yes, they actually feel really nice. We are, however, going to enter the scoop phase here for Russell. The value of the Tormented Existence, just too much for the deck to handle when it drew 8 lands and didn't have any opportunity to draw any more.
Yeah, especially when you're top decking, just drawing land after land is definitely not what you want to see.
Definitely not. So I can see Russell now reaching for his sideboard. I would definitely be looking at bringing in the Gleeful Sabotage. One of the best effects, I think, against the Tortured Existence deck, where it relies on very heavily on the enchantment as its engine card, as the cards it actually plays, aside from that, are pretty mediocre, if we are honest.
Brought to you by Dragon Shields. They are the shieldiest.
They are the shieldiest. They are the shieldiest. They are wonderful. It's Pun City today. Very, very punny.
So much.
It's like, it's wonderful. The puns are rolling in again. So Crypt Rats taking it down, probably leading that one. I think more Tortured Existence won that game than the Crypt Rats, but obviously the value engine of Jonathan's deck coming to the front here as we're going to see Russell's sideboarding out some of his less impactful cards. More looking for his enchantment removal spells to get rid of the Tortured Existence before it can get too far ahead. Nothing shieldier. You have to come and do this more, Will. This is wonderful. This is Pauper. This is great.
I love the format. I hate the puns.
It's still shield you. Oh, it's wonderful. Just deal with it, mate. You should do Modern would be much better for you. The people are much more serious in chat. They're much more into the actual format. The people in Pauper is much more fun. You have a load of fun with the people in chat on Pauper. So players are going to shuffle up for game number 2, have a little look at the cards they have available to them. You can see Chainer's Edict, a couple of other black removal spells, some green enchantment for artifact removal.
I'm just looking at him like you don't need them. You've got Crypt Rats in your deck. You just wrath him every day.
But you can't when if he gets rid of you. But you can't if you get rid of his things. If he gets rid of your Tortured Existence, and he makes a massive monster, he makes a massive Vault Scourge. What do you do then? Feel bad.
Feel bad.
Feel bad. Then feel bad moments. So players are going to have a look at make the final decisions. Looks like Russell's happy with his sideboard plan here, and we're soon going to be on to game number 2. Jonathan up 1 game to 0 here. The green-black Tormented Existence deck getting the slight edge against Russell's deck. Players will reset the life totals from the table, and we'll be on to game 2. I'll be back this Wednesday for more Modern in the booth. Chris, I'm looking very much forward to you joining us.
And I will be packing.
Modern will not be the same without. Modern would not be the same without you. We get to talk about Jace. We get to talk about Bloodbride Elf, Fog Frogs.
Unfortunately, not talking about Fog Frog and...
Oh no, we can still talk about it. We can still talk about the Fog Frog. May not be appropriate for the format, but we can talk about the Fog Frog.
Stompy can just outrace them and now throw the rats early.
Yeah, it's true. Like 3 mana and then having to untap and do everything else is quite a bit of a challenge sometimes. Yeah. Yes. Got my Bloodbride Elves. Haven't got my Jace. Don't want Jace. Just want Bloodbride Elf. Want a brew. Brew some 4-colour nonsense, I think. Lend it. If anyone wants to borrow 4-colour nonsense. But yes, the format of commons, by far the best.
Third best.
First best. I have been well and truly corrupted into the joy that is Pauper.
It's the third best format.
Well, I mean, to be fair, when I first came and did the coverage in the booth, it was someone put something on Facebook, and I was like, okay, I do coverage for the standard PPTQs. I want to do more coverage because I enjoy it a lot. And they said, you know what? Why don't you come and do it? I'm like, yep. I would love to put my thing forward. Jack asked me to come along and do the Pauper with him. Haven't looked back. It's a wonderful format. You're wrong. It's first best, 100% best format.
Oh, don't get me wrong. It's an amazing format. But Force of Will and
no way,
Liliana and Goyf.
Cast Bloodbride Elf, Cascade. No, remember, it's Bloodbride Elf, Cascade into Violent Outburst, Cascade into Living End, and then they all resolve, and you have much fun.
Maybe it would be first best if you knew the cards. Well, I'm sorry.
No, that's part of the fun.
Yeah, I love it actually. Like learning new cards and new interactions is amazing.
Yes, I mean, I will hold my hands up. I don't know all the cards in Pauper. I'd be surprised if anyone does know all the cards in Pauper with how many decks that you can play. The number of decks you can play while Russell takes a mulligan 6 is huge. Like, this is but a fraction of the availability. Like, you go on MTG Goldfish and you just go down through the list. It's just like, this is a wonderful, wonderful format because you can play so many different cards, so many different decks. And actually, they're all good. They are all of a similar power level. Yes, there are some really bad matchups, like Elves into Pestilence is like a horrible matchup for Elves. It's like almost impossible to win. But then Elves is really good against the decks that don't do anything.
Yeah.
And that's one of the really powerful things as well.
It's a very diverse format.
Oh, it's the best about it.
And we had this discussion a long time ago about diverse formats, and I said, I don't like them. I like the format where everybody's playing the same deck.
No, it's terrible.
I love it.
Have you ever tried covering that?
No.
What, where you play 4 rounds of Team or Energy Mirrors? I mean, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed doing it, but by the round 3 it got a little bit tedious. This is the best thing.
I still watch them.
No. No, why would you
I still go back and watch them because they're so fun. Or is that just me? I think that's just me.
Elves are really good against decks that don't. I think what I mean is elves are really good against decks that don't have removal spells. And want to sort of make their way through. Like, so for example, I would imagine Elves would be quite good against this, against the, what's the deck I'm thinking?
What's it do?
Well, pre-board is really good against like your Delver decks, which don't necessarily load up on a huge amount of removal. A couple of good threats, a couple of recent things, and we actually saw Russell do this before, where he took it down. Post-board is a bit different because of Electrickery, but Timberwatch Health is pretty good. So we're going to see a Fog Frog here from Jonathan, the Rancor-empowered one-land Vault Scourge, getting off to the races very quickly here. Russell to 21, Jonathan down to 17. We're going to see another attack for 3 here. Do we see a sacrifice of the Fog Frog? Yeah, we're going to see a sacrifice of the Fog Frog. No damage dealt for this turn. We're going to see a... No, we aren't able to do anything, but we are able to this turn to play a Quirion Ranger, which will probably help him with able to... These things. We're going to untap, return the forest to our hand. We're going to replay the forest, able to then maybe play this Nettle Sentinel, Quirion Ranger, a staple of a lot of different formats. We're going to cycle the Baron Moor here from Jonathan and draw a card.
If he draws Birchlaw Rangers, he's just sorted. You don't need another land.
No, definitely not. We see 3 mana being tapped for the Stinkweed Imp. And we're going to untap and draw for the turn, see if Russell can find a way of getting past the very useful card. I do mean that, however, the Rancor is going to help a lot. He does need to find another land.
Definitely.
Another land would be very beneficial at this point, but Jonathan has a way of getting his engine online, and Russell may struggle to get through the Stinkweed Imp as it will trade with all his creatures. It does mean that Jonathan doesn't do anything for the rest of the game for the next foreseeable few turns.
I mean, it's just unfortunate because we're seeing the opposite problem to which Russell had game 1.
Yeah, all lands into very few lands here. But he's still playing a lot, and this is one of the benefits of Russell's deck. It plays a lot of 1-drop cards, 1-drop creatures, 1-drop spells. Does mean that he is able to go. What is my favourite Stinkweed Imp art? None of them. No, I think that... No, I do think that this Stinkweed Imp that's in play is probably the nice one. I'm not a massive fan of the FNM promo, but we're going to see...
Yeah, definitely Ravnica.
Howl of the Hunt pack here, putting 3 counters on to the Vault Scourge. Obviously trying to get it really large so he can soon attack for a very large amount of damage, hopefully through the Stinkweed Imp. But I think we might be going back to just the Stinkweed Imp plan, and Russell really needs to find a way to deal with it. Unfortunately, no second land means he can't play. I would have preferred to have played the Skulk Pit, because it means that he can then actually attack through the Stinkweed Imp without it being permanently blocked. So he's going to see a Dredge of 5 here, get the Stinkweed Imp back into hand.
I'm just seeing some of these cards that he's milling over, and I'm like, this is amazing.
It is. We'll see Tormented Existence here. We're going to see a discard of the Stinkweed Imp, go and probably search. We're going to get back the Fog Frog. That is always what you want, more Fog Frogs. Fog Frog into play. 3 Swamps and a Jungle Hollow. I think right now Russell needs to find a second land and a Gleeful Sabotage, otherwise this game could very quickly be at a point where he might be too far behind. Looks like we found another Vault Scourge this turn. Not quite what he was looking for, but two cards left in hand. One of them is a Crypt Rat. Pretty good against the current board state, not so very good against the massive Vault Scourge, which is currently in play.
Definitely. But
so we're going to attack for 1.
Can solve that.
We are going to attack for 1 with the Quirion Ranger, and we're going to get blocked by a Fog Frog.
I don't understand.
Yeah, that is certainly interesting. They are going to trade off. Maybe not the best attack there from Russell. Would have definitely tried to attack with the Vault Scourge. It's a free attack at that point.
Can we show the
Fog Frog? No, don't type yet.
Oh,
now
yeah,
you can type.
Wrong one.
Spore Frog, not Fog Frog. I like Fog Frog more as a name. That's really cool design.
Fog Frog
is a really cool design. It's just a really nice design.
It looks really nice as well.
It's a really nice art.
It looks more like a chameleon than a frog.
It looks a very cuddly frog.
I wouldn't cuddle any frog.
No, I wouldn't cuddle it, but it looks it looks interesting. Spore frog at the door, run away fast, you'll run no more. The end of one life is merely the beginning of thousands more. Yes, Spore. They're very appropriate for the Spore Frog. We're going to see the discard of the... of the Stinkweed Imp, and we're going to see a Crypt Rat and the Fog Frog into play here. I may have held on to the Fog Frog, able to... I suppose you're dredging as we find a second land here, just on time for Russell. I think we might see a big attack here from the Vault Scourges. They're not blocking. Might as well get an attack in.
I will use my Fog Frog and Frog... Oh my god. I will use my Fog Frog and Frog Fog.
Say that 10 times fast.
I cannot say that 10 times
fast. That is a tongue twister. So, Let's see what Russell can do against the basically, he needs to find the Gleeful Sabotage now to even try and keep in this game, because the Spore Frog's just going to keep cycling through. He's going to basically never get to attack until his opponent has got up to a large amount of mana and use the Crit Rats to basically get over. We see a Feed the Clans in hand for Russell. Not quite sure why that card came in. We're going to gain 10 life.
Okay.
Because of Ferocious, so we're going to pull that up on the screen.
It's 1 and a green, gain 5 life, and if you have Ferocious, gain 10 life instead.
Yeah, but well, we can bring it up.
I know.
So we're going to see a Dredge. There we go. You gain 5 life, so you gain, very specific. Means you can't give your opponents. Means you can't give your opponent's Death Shadow deck more life. Ferocious, you gain 10 life instead if you control a creature with power 4 or greater. Very good in formats against aggressive decks.
We need a frog.
Like, oh wow,
to
we have managed to find it. We have drawn the Gleeful Sabotage here from Russell. A huge draw there for Russell, and I would fire that off right now. Well, I'd attack first, see what your opponent does, and then do it. Because it means they can't get it back, and your opponent is currently hell-bent. And dredging is only going to be so good, but it looks like we have a Stinkweed Imp in hand, ready to go. So only the Golgari Brown Scale in the graveyard. So he can still dredge, which means he can still keep the engine going. But we're going to see looks like a Gleeful Sabotage, gleefully sabotaging the Tormented Existence. So destroy target artifact or enchantment. We're going to pull that up on the screen. So Gleeful Sabotage, 1 and a green sorcery, destroy target artifact or enchantment, conspire. Obviously not particularly relevant on this board state, but we're going to see the Tormented Existence discarded to return the Spore Frog to hand. But we have the Dredge online now, but that the Tormented Existence will be disappearing now from play.
From somebody who doesn't know, what is the Conspire mechanic?
Conspire is, as you cast this spell, you may tap 2 untapped creatures you control that share a colour with it. When you do, copy it, and you may choose a new target for the copy. A huge attack here for the Vault Scourge. That is a 6 power attacker, a 6/4 lifelink attacker. And Jonathan going to take it, not wanting to use his Crypt Rats quite yet.
Take it like a man.
Or a rat. Because that's what we're playing. Many, many rats. So we're going to see the Crypt Rats dealing with everything. It does mean that Rancor comes back to hand. Crypt Rats has now removed the entire battlefield.
And then plays Fog Frog. Love this frog.
The Fog Frog's so cool. So we're going to see we have Rancor in hand. We have a Pit Skulk. We have what looks like a Vines of the Vastwood as well. So it looks like we're going to play the 1/1 Pit Skulk. And a pass of the turn back. So we won't be able to be blocked though. But we are going to also cast a Rancor. Yep, might as well get that on now. Make it large enough that it can attack. So it's now a 3/1. Doesn't have any Bloodthirst on it.
I have to say, I love those forests.
They are very nice, aren't they?
I'm dependent on the type of card is whether or not, depending on I prefer the Amonkhet or the Arrow Devastation land. Like if it's a mountain, I prefer Arrow Devastation because you're thinking of ruins.
Yes.
If it's a forest, you're thinking of growth and life. I'd prefer Amonkhet.
Definitely. So now we're going to play the brown scale here. Russell's guy actually can't be blocked at the moment.
Oh, that's good for him.
So we're going to see a Young Wolf here for Russell. And looks like we're going to put a Rancor on the Young Wolf as well, trying to get all the beats in as fast as possible. His opponent is down at 4 life, which means he needs to probably dredge the brown scale now to even have a chance of lasting till next turn, because the Pit Skulk can't be blocked. And there's a very crucial rules text on that card. Cannot be blocked by creatures with power less than Pit Skulk. So let's quickly go to the correct format.
So that's where the Skulk mechanic came from.
I think Skulk was probably around before that, but
I thought Skulk was a new
maybe yeah.
introduced in.
Oh yeah. So we have the The Skagen Pit
Gnaw
Skulk
to the bone. I love that card.
is a good card. It also gains a lot of life.
Which
He
is
needs
something
right
that
now.
Jonathan needs.
Jonathan is definitely in need of a lot of life gain right now. We have Gnaw to the Bone there. We have Carrion Feeder. Looks like we have Stinkweed Imp, Crypt Rats, Gomagangler, Brown Scale. A couple of another Crypt Rats there. Looks like an Elvish Visionary and a few other things. We're going to see a reattaching the Rancor and a lethal attack here. So we're going to see a Gnaw to the Bone here. In response, we will soon be working out how much life he is going up to, but we will put the Gnaw to the Bone onto our card viewer, so all the people at home can see the card. In all its wonderful glory, the flashback spell from
Innistrad.
There you go. 2 and a green, you gain 2 life for each creature card in your graveyard. Flashback 2 and a green. You may cast this card from a graveyard for its flashback cost, then exile it. It is an instant speed spell. Funnily enough, it is very interesting because an instant speed you can do it in response to something. So we're going to quickly look at how much life has been gained. Least, I would say 20 life. Which is a pretty good place to go. We're up to 19 life. And now we're going to work out how much damage we take.
Up to 24.
Up to 24, so we gained a total of 20 life. So it was exactly 10 creatures in the graveyard, and then we're going to take a fairly sizable chunk here back down to 17. Definitely not winning the race at the moment, and we're now going to see a Tranquil Thicket, the draw here. So we're going to cycle that and draw another card, find a swamp off the top. Not quite what I was looking for here for Jonathan, but still, Russell up at 31 life at the moment. I feel that Russell is definitely in a better position right now than Jonathan, but we're going to see a tapping of 3 mana and the Stinkweed Imp into play an attack with a Fog Frog.
Russell's down to 30.
See an untap here from Russell. Draw of the turn. What can the Stompy play at? Fine. For his draw step looks like Aquarian Ranger. Very good draw here at the moment, but we have Vines of the Vastwood as well. I think you just attack with... it's interesting that he's attacking with the Young Wolf as well. I mean, I know he gets 2 free damage through, so this is an attack for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I mean, you can just reattach the Rancor to the Birchwell Ranger, which you're about to play.
Aquarian Ranger.
Aquarian, yeah.
Or you can put it on the Pit Skulk as well. Obviously, it does give Trample, Rancor, +2/+0, and Trample for a green mana enchantment. It's pretty good. Definitely a good return here. So we can see Aquarian Ranger, the follow-up here with the Vines of Vastwood with Kicker available as a backup. Instead, we're going to draw for the turn. We're not going to go for any shenanigans with our Dredge this turn. We have a land, we have a Swamp in hand, we have a Golgari Brown Scale, and a Grave Digger.
So now we just need some discard outlet for pure value.
Grave Scrabber, sorry. So we're going to untap here. We're also going to draw for the turn. Looks like I found another forest. I think we might make the Rancor on the Pit Skulk and start the beat down again. 5 damage a turn is pretty good. It's 3-turn clock.
Definitely, and especially seeing as it can't be blocked.
Well, let's go and quickly work out how to spell that card again. Okay, put an extra A in it without meaning to. So a big attack here from the Gung Pit Skulk, taking 5.
Looks like a bit similar to John's.
We're not sure if he runs Songs of the Damned. We would definitely be able to find out at the end of the match. Something interesting to see. So, well,
nope.
Nope. Deadweight has removed... There's a good draw there. Deadweight removing the... Interesting, actually really interesting, because he had Vines of the Vastwood, and he decided not to use it.
Maybe. So the downside to putting the Rancor on the Pit Skulk meant Jonathan can now, with power less than it, can't block it. Okay, so ignore me.
Attack for 1.
Just poke.
This is a lot of damage. I mean, this is 5 damage with the Vines of the Vastwood. Kicked, gets +4/+4.
Oh, if he put on the Rancor, it would have been lethal.
Yep. Oh, he's got a Spore Frog. We're going to Fog Frog.
Yeah.
Seems like the best place to go. Then we might end up putting the Rancors on this turn. And pass the, nope, we're going to pass the turn back. Double Rancor in hand. Golgari Brown Scale untaps. We have a Grave Scrabbler and 2 lands at the moment. Yes, Rudimancer, welcome to the stream. John Partridge will leech. And we are in round number 3 of coverage here from Darkshire in London on our Monday night Pauper, Mono-Green Stompy versus Green-Black Tortured Existence. Russell gets to untap with his Quirion Ranger, Golgari Brown Scale remaining on the defensive. If Russell can draw a creature, which it looks like he may not have found. Looks like he found a Gleeful Sabotage. Unfortunately not what he is looking for right now. Needed a creature. Didn't unfortunately find it. And I don't think you want to attack into the Brown Scale quite yet.
Yeah, he's just going to suit up the Ranger.
Jonathan having a quick look through. How many cards he actually has left in his library? Don't worry, sir. I think you have plenty of them left. You are though, only at 7 life remaining. Just needs a creature for Russell to find, and I think he can finish this game off. But the second Gleeful Sabotage, not what he was looking for. So he found an artifact of some description here for the Tortured Existence deck. The life of me probably not able to tell you what it is, though.
It looks like the...
Looks like a mirror of some description. You can go searching this time. I think you've got a bit more of an idea of the card you're thinking of. Looks like we're going to have a Gleeful Sabotage, and we're going to sacrifice and deal minus... It's a Perilous Ma. No, I believe it's a Perilous Mir.
That's it. I was going to type Mir in Gatherer.
Nice. Because that's what you want. Perilous Mir. And we all knew it was a Mir because they all happen to look very much the same. Perilous Mir, 2 mana. When Perilous Mir is put into graveyard from the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to target creature or player. The Brown Skull now on the attack. Double Rancor in hand here for Russell. Can he find a creature to suit up with a Rancor? Looks like he found a Beridian Bow. Not quite what he's looking for yet. Definitely not, but he's able to play it, at least get something into play.
I really wish he had that on the field with the Ranger, just for the pure flavour of it all.
Definitely.
It's an equipment, right? Equip the Ranger with a bow.
Definitely. And, well, Rudimancer, it's very unfortunate that you were not able to come down to Darksphere tonight. Definitely missing you here. 24 players in the room for some Pauper action. Black-Green Tormented Existence versus Mono-Green Stompy. Can the Mono-Green Stompy actually draw a card? No, he finds another land. We are now double Rancor in hand and passing the turn back. Russell not very happy with his draw so far. We see a Tormented Existence, the draw for the turn, exactly what Jonathan was looking for. Off the top, the perfect draw, and maybe now the deck will start to pull out of reach of the Stompy deck. Even though it is only at 4 life, we're going to see the Fog Frog coming back and the Grave Scrabbler being cast for its Madness cost, getting back possibly. I would probably get back the Mirror at this point. Maybe the Fish. The Fish does end the game rather quickly, and I think that's what he needs to do. I was the Stompy player, played versus Slivers round 2, I think. Well, unfortunately, it's a shame you weren't here this week. Obviously, the more players we have, the better. Pauper is definitely the up-and-coming format I would describe at the moment. Definitely taking over where Standard left off when people became a little less enamoured with it. So, pass the turn back from... Well, Jonathan's probably going to play a land for the turn. No, we're going for the Fish. For 1 mana this time. None of this 7 mana Fish nonsense. Just 1 mana.
Yeah.
Delve, quite a strong mechanic. I think you would agree.
I mean, Delve is what made cards like Treasure Cruise and Dig Through Time insanely powerful. Also bannable. Didn't ban the Fish, though. Fish doesn't need ban.
Fish is very much fun. We're going to see quite a few cards. The exile. We're going to see the Gleeful Sabotage here from Russell, able to deal with it very quickly on, up to 8 life. We're going to see the Fog Frog, and unfortunately nothing in play for Russell. Unfortunately, it looks like the green-black deck starting to pull away a little bit, even with only a few cards in hand. We can see a massive attack here for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. Couldn't work out how much power on the black creature, so... Always play the Fog. Always play the Frog. Oh, we have another Forest, and we're going to show a hand of uncastable spells. And Jonathan Hillman takes down Russell Murloc Bentley and his green Stompy deck. Green-black Tortured Existence marches on to 3-0 here at Monday Night's Pauper. We're going to come back to the booth here with John Partridge and William Leach. Interesting game, that, actually. Almost there for Russell. Almost there, but a timely top deck dead weight, which I may not have let resolve. I definitely think I would have.
I definitely would have used that.
Given the hexproof at that point. Finds the Vastwood obviously giving hexproof for a green mana, kicked for +4/+4, and I think maybe a small misplay there from Russell costing him game number 2. That brings us to the end of round 3. Most of the matches are almost finished. Looks like we have the grand total of 1 table still playing, so we're going to take a short break, get the players ready for the 4th and final round. Hopefully you will join us there. We shall see you again very shortly. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, round number 4, and our final round is upon us once more. 2 brand new players in the feature match area, 1 deck we've seen before, 1 a very brand new deck that I have never had the chance to commentate on. It is Izzet Blitz versus Infect. Infect's not something I expected to see in Pauper, but we are going to send it straight down to the feature match area where the players are ready. We're going to give them the thumbs up, give them the start, and we'll find out what this Izzet Blitz deck and what this Infect deck is all about. Players are at the ready. Matt Lawson on your right, Isaac Dearlove on your left. We will give the players a go-ahead, and we'll be off to round number 4 of coverage here from our Monday Night Pauper from Dark Sphere in London.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to bring the chat back up because... Was it green, blue, or green, white, Infect? We don't know. I don't know. It's just Infect. I assume it's going to be green, blue. It's the usual colouring scheme for it. Is the Blitz a staple in the format? Definitely is. Oh, you've changed your colour. You used to be blue, dabba-dee-dabba-die. Yeah. This is John. He's wearing off on me. I am so sorry for that. I made a pun.
It's fine, you're allowed to make puns.
No, it's your fault.
That's fine.
I don't make puns.
That's fine.
That's your thing.
I've seen a Glade cover scout manned up with an armadillo cloak and ethereal armor and a rancor against the Stompy deck.
You put an armadillo on a scout?
Oh yes, you certainly do. So we'll soon find out. We are not sure exactly which colours of Infect that it is, but it looks like he has a Lotus Petal, a load of green cards, and we're going to see a turn 1 Preordain here from Izzet. We're going to see a Gush and an Apostle's Blessing. Both of their cards to the bottom, not interested in those right now. We're going to draw for the turn, find a Delver of Secrets. Pretty good one to find. Draw for the turn here, we find a Rancor off the top. We're going to see a Forest into a Lotus Petal, into a Glistener Elf, and we're going to see a straight away sacrificing and a Rancor on to the Glistener Elf. So very quick start here. Is Isaac able to find a... Well, he needs to find a removal spell because could be quite quick. That's 3 damage, 3 infected damage next turn. So we're going to go for an island into a Delver of Secrets. And bearing in mind, Life Total is pretty much free. Those Gitaxian probes are going to come in quite useful for 0, effectively 0 mana, irrelevant life change. Look at your hand, see what you're doing, see what is in your Infect hand, and we will soon get to see as well. Looks like we have a Mutagenic Growth, we have Vines of the Vastwood, a Rancor, and a card that I'm not too sure of, so we will descend back to the powers that be of our phones, and we will go for the Infect in Pauper.
That the latest one, I don't know.
Mono green Infect. Let's assume it's mono green to start with. And we will be looking at possibly a Seal of Strength. But we'll soon find out. So we're going to pass the turn back.
We'll find out with how he plays it.
In play, we're going to find a Gitaxian Probe. So we're going to see what both players are working with. We have a Nivix Cyclops, a Gitaxian Probe, Mutagenic Growth, Mountain, and Island here for Isaac. So pretty reasonable hand here. Pretty reasonable hand here for the blue-red Izzet Blitz player to try and get going. Obviously, we'll have to see if the... Let's see what can be found. So what we're going to do is we will look at the card image viewer. We will pick up the Seal of Strength, for those of you who may not know at home. Obviously, we're looking at slightly less powered versions of cards. There are no... The Groundswell, obviously, sacrifice Seal of Strength, Target creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn, 1 mana enchantment. I'm sure we're just seeing play, which is obviously a very good.
It's a Giant Growth
start. Sorry?
Giant Growth.
Giant Growth on an enchantment stick, which is pretty good. Obviously, no Become Immense or in anything in this deck, so a much harder way of doing it. We're going to see a Mutagenic Growth here on the block from Isaac, trying to make sure that he can actually fight against this Infect creature here. Interesting enough. Still going to die, but isn't going to...
That's what I'm thinking. Why?
So we've got an Infect counter on there. We're actually going to move it up slightly so we can all see it, so I'll be back.
Unless he's just trying to prevent the damage.
Maybe. That could be a possibility. He's about to play an Nivix Cyclops, which blocks pretty well, and can also then lethal the following turn on the way back.
And I'm so ready. Oh, okay. What is this? The degenerate bracket. What? So rude. There we go. Oh, you can barely see that dice. That's on 3, I believe.
That is a very, very large, but no attack though. Deciding that he values the existence of his. I think that's the other reason as well. Like keeping your infect creature alive is obviously what needs to happen. Because I think if you don't keep it alive, you don't have another threat. We're going to see a Brainstorm here, see a Delver, a land, an Apostle's Blessing, another Nivix Cyclops, and a Gitaxian Probe. It's a pretty large monster this could be if it attacks. And I think with the backup one, you may be more willing to take it. Only get 3 poison counters here for Izzet. The Degenerate bracket has arrived, and it is wonderful to see different options that you can play in Pauper. Someone making an Infect deck work, and obviously the Izzet Blitz deck, more of a staple, I would say, of the Pauper format of the 2 decks.
It's definitely a mainstay. It's been there for a while. I mean, these type of decks exist in every format.
Yeah, and they are very interesting to watch for sure. So, no second land yet for Matt, but we're going to see a Delver of Secrets, the play for the turn. And probably a pass back at the turn, holding on to the Gitaxian Probe for when he needs it, but obviously needs to find a few more levels of power to punch this Infect creature through the defensive capabilities of Izzet's deck. But if that's an Apostle's Blessing, I have a feeling that this is going to do a fair amount of damage this turn, giving protection from green, and an attack here for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Up to 8 poison. I was just like, what do you want me to do? There's nothing I can do about this. And then untap. Now, can Matt deal lethal damage this turn? Does not look like it at the moment, but he might soon be able to turn that Gitaxian Probe into another spell, maybe deal enough damage this turn. It's a shame that the Delver didn't flip. That would have been a very beneficial thing to have happen. So we're going to pass 3 mana, and we're going to play another Nivix Cyclops here from Izzet. Pass the turn back, and cross his fingers that it's enough. Now, do you attack with the Delver Secrets? No, he's going to pass the turn back.
Trying to think about whether or not you should. Just looking at the math of it.
Looks like maybe a Ranger's Guile there, but pass the turn back, interestingly enough. Giving his opponent a chance to actually... Giving Izzet all the time in the world to actually try and kill him. Which seems like a very strange option to be taking for the side of the Infect deck. But again, if you can't deal lethal Infect damage, you're going to lose your creature on the way back, and if you don't have a follow-up,
exactly,
pretty bad. And with only 1 mana, you are certainly going to struggle. So we see another island here. 4 islands, 1 mountain. Cryptic Command mana, if it were, but a different format. But instead, we're looking at Nivix Cyclopses, 1, 2, and a Delver of Secrets with a Gitaxian Probe and a Apostle's Blessing. We're going to see a pretty impressive hand here. Double Vines of the Vastwood, which is probably lethal. Interesting if he actually has the Glistener Elf. So Gitaxian Probe is going to draw a card. Nope.
I see a Blight Mummer in hand.
It seems to be 2 of them. Would you like to pull it up on the card viewer for the people at home to know what the card does? Because I'm not too affair with that card.
It's a 1/1 Infect creature, and it has 1 and a green Regenerate, I believe.
So it's interesting that he's not attacking, but we've actually found the lethal attack this turn, I believe, is what we're looking at here with the Kick Divides of the Vastwood giving +4/+4. The blocks here are not particularly good for Izzet, and a pretty reasonable draw here for Matt, finally finding his second mana source. Double Rancor on an Infect 1-drop. Pretty good when you're in the Infect player's chair. I think we're going to look at our hand and go, well, this was unfortunate.
Definitely. Unfortunately, the way Trample works, even if the creature has protection, is it will see the amount of damage that it needs to be dealt and deal the rest over.
Yes.
Now you've seen the kicked vines on the...
So he's put both Nivix Cyclopses in the way. And we're going to see an Apostle's Blessing here to give one of the Nivix Cyclops protection, which probably means that he may not die this turn. But again, the Nivix Cyclops are actually killing... It's actually going to kill the Glistener Elf, even through the +4/+4, and lose one of the Nivix Cyclopses. Obviously, he still needs to find a way to win, but it does mean that all of these cards will hit the bin. It looks like he's going up to 9 poison. Both Nivix Cyclopses are currently 3/4s, I believe. Let's pull up Nivix Cyclops so we can just check.
I thought it was naturally a 2/4.
Or 1/4. I believe it's naturally a 1/4, so it goes to a 4/4. There we go. Nivix Cyclops, it's a 1/4. Gets +3/+0. It does mean that they trade, obviously, with that, but we see another land here. Delver Secret's not flipping anytime soon, but I think an attack here for 1, it would be appropriate for Izzet to try and get at least some damage in. We're going to attack for 1, and obviously Nivix Cyclops has Defender unless you're able to cast an instant or sorcery spell, untap, draw for the turn. No second land, but a Groundswell is the draw for the turn. We're going to see a copy of Glistener Elf back into play. Draw, finds a Brainstorm. Pretty good place to start. Let's have a look at what we find. Draw 3, put 2 back, and I think we could be putting the land. That is a Team of Battle Rage and a Mutagenic Growth. Is that lethal?
Putting them face up, what?
He knows what's going back. This might actually be lethal.
Mutagenic Growth would put it to
Gives
7 and then make it a 14 +1. Yeah.
He's not going to block.
Oh no, wait. My math is off. It'll be a 10. It'll be 20 from the Nivix Cyclops.
So it's a 3/4. Now it is going to a 9/4. Which is 18.
Okay, well,
which is 18 trample damage with the Team of Battle Rage and Izzet.
No. The trigger from the Team of Battle Rage
yes,
as well.
It's +3/+0, and then, oh my goodness, that is so. Let's think about this properly. So we think about this properly. It is a 4/4 going to a 9/4,
and
going to a 12/4, and then double
going
strike.
to 24 damage from that.
Yep.
Double strike trample.
That was that Brainstorm was pretty good.
I think he's saying exactly that.
It's like nice
Just oh, you're dead.
Nice Brainstorm there, Isaac, and Isaac Dearlove and his Izzet's Blitz deck doing a number on Matt Lawson, and maybe we should have ordered a plate of our own words. We thought it was pretty much over. I think we should definitely go down the Charlie's afterwards and order a plate of our own words and see what we can do with that one. And Isaac turning that around wonderfully. Not what I expected.
No, not at all.
I'm going to look across very dumb.
That Brainstorm was just like, oh, okay, you're dead.
Just like, good game, thanks very much. 24 points of damage with trample to your face. Oh, good.
Yeah, you can just go now. Don't collect $200.
You may not collect. Yeah, you may not collect $200. We're going to see the Flame Flash being put face up here by Isaac, and going to put it straight in his deck. I think we might be losing. The day seems fine in this matchup. It depends on how you want to win the game or what you think is bad. Like, you're bringing in 1 card. That seems fine.
He's looking at an Apostle's Blessing to take out.
I can see that.
I can get behind that.
You're going to expect your opponent's going to be attacking. And like Brainstorm's also probably not at its best in this matchup. Just a bit too slow. But yes.
I really like Brainstorm though, because it means you can dig for the cards that you need in that specific instance.
That's true. But looks like we're going to see at least an Apostle's Blessing, 1 Brainstorm. Taking 1s out of each doesn't feel too bad. Still having multiple copies of each still in your deck. So players going to shuffle up for game number 2. Isaac Dearlove, 1 game to the good against Matt Lawson and his Infect deck. Unfortunately not finding a second mana early enough to close out the game fast enough against Isaac's deck. Hurting him a little bit, being able to resolve 2 Nivix Cyclopses. Really hurting the Infect deck. Because the 4 toughness going to a 4/4, quite good against what Isaac's Matt is trying to do. And if we think back to that really aggressive Mutagenic Growth early on in the game, came back and really paid off for Isaac at the end of the game. Yeah. 9 Infect is not 10.
Definitely. I'm trying to think if Matt Lawson drew the second land, how much would that have changed the game?
I think he kills Isaac before Isaac gets to even stabilise the board.
Yeah, I don't think that second Nivix Cyclops would have came down.
No, I think Isaac would have been poisoned to death by then. But as it is Izzet Blitz doing what Izzet Blitz does does best, winning out of nowhere, crushing the hearts of its enemies in one fell swoop, removing all hope that could ever be from the game for those other degenerate combo decks. And at the end of the day, neither player has that much interaction with each other. There'll be a few lightning bolts on the side of Isaac, obviously some flame slashes coming in, but I wouldn't expect to see very much interaction from the side of Matt Lawson and his Infect deck. Definitely much more on the linear combo strategy here. Both players repping their Channel Fireball, or 1-star city games, one is for Channel Fireball, both from Grand Prix London, interesting enough. Obviously one from the most recent Grand Prix London, one from the previous one with Chandra Ablaze.
One of those events I attended.
What was the name of that one, actually, that card? It was quite good in Limited. The other one's Mutavault. It's quite good. Can't remember what the card was. It was quite nice.
It was a 4-mana card.
But anyways, players are going to look at their opening hands. We see, looks like a Mutagenic Growth Team of Battle Rage, and Matt not happy with his opening hand, so he's going to send that straight back. Have a look at some more options for his deck.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't a full mana card. It was one of the cards with Spell Mastery.
Yeah.
And it was from Magic Origins.
It's pretty good.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Never concede to the people on... Never concede to like that. Right, so let's have a look. Let's see if we are... So, see what we have to start. So, Gitaxian Probe to start off. Let's see what our opponent is working with. Well, looks like an Evolving Wilds, Island, Team of Battle Rage, Lightning Bolt, Mutagenic Growth, and a Flame Slash. So plenty of removal spells to be getting on with. So I think this Glistener Elf may not be appearing on the first turn of the game. No, we're going to pass the turn back. A very good Gitaxian Probe there. Oh, and a top deck to rule them all. Delver of Secrets off at the top there for Izzet.
And I was just about to comment, the only thing that were missing from that hand was a threat.
Raging Blaze. Red, X. Raging Blaze deals X damage to target creature or Spell Mastery. It also deals X damage to target creature's controller.
Oh yeah, it was a homage to Searing Blaze.
Yes, that wasn't as good and needed Spell Mastery to do. Yeah. We're going to see an attack for 1 here from the Delver of Secrets. I think no blocks from the Glistener Elf is the first order of the day, and unfortunately no red mana here. We're going to see an Evolving Wilds. Now, the question is, Matt Lawson, can you kill Izzet this turn? Because your opponent has no red mana. I definitely think, well, there's a Lotus Petal, which seems pretty good.
It's definitely possible.
And a Forest.
Probably
now,
less so now.
What do the 3 cards look like in your hand right now? Groundswell will be a good start, that's 5.
I see a Mutagenic Growth.
Mutagenic Growth is 7. All right, we're going to see 2. We're going to see a Kicked Vines of the Vastword. We're going to see a Mutagenic Growth. That is 4, 5, 6, and 7 points of poison. And is it a Groundswell? Oh, no, that's it.
No, that's
just 7.
That's unfortunate.
Yes, I wonder what the last card in hand is, because Matt might be on a bit of a hiding to nothing with the double removal spell here for Izzet. Let's see if the Delver is able to flip this turn.
Oh, that's my favourite mountain artwork. What?
Not the Guru Mountains?
No, no, okay. That one. It looks like...
a volcano?
Yeah.
It's a mountain. It's kind of what you get in volcanoes.
Exactly, and it's
Delver
beautiful.
flips to the Preordain. We have the very first sighting of a flipped Delver into Insectile Aberration on camera tonight. Actually, we haven't really seen haven't really seen much of Delver of Secrets. We're going to see a Preordain here for Izzet, looking at a Spell Pierce and a Brainstorm there. I can imagine both of these go to the bottom. Neither of them feel great. Maybe you keep the Spell Pierce, but your opponent has a lot of mana in play right now. So we're going to draw the Spell Pierce there for
I don't approve
Izzet.
of that Spell Pierce.
Oh dear. Just flat doesn't approve of it. So we're going to Flame Slash away the Glistener Elf, and we're going to attack here for 3 by the Insectile Aberration. Matt down to 12. So the damage is going to start racking up rather quickly. Let's see what the draw steps were here for Matt. Can he find another Infect creature to replace the one that died? No,
nope.
We are going to pass the turn back, and Izzet very quickly untapping. He senses victory in his hands. He's going to have another island in play. In hand to play. I think you might still attack for 3 to start with. You have double Lightning Bolt. No, you have Team of Battle Rage, Mutagenic Growth. Actually, we might just go for the kill, yeah. So Mutagenic Growth here on the Delver of Secrets puts it to a 5-4. And we're going to see a Team of Battle Rage gives it double strike and trample, which is 10. Let's see what we have. We have, looks like a Fog Effect.
Maybe.
This is where we go back to the drawing board. And it's like, oh dear. It's like, damn, it's like I had lethal. Why would you not let me kill you? He said, Matt goes to 11 life instead. Stays at 12. And a Brainstorm here. Going to see a Evolving Wild. So we will have a perfect Brainstorm as well as a Delver of Secrets. I might be putting back the extra land and the Spell Pierce here. Looking for my perfect Brainstorm.
Seeing as he has the Delver, you probably play that and make it flip.
Yeah. I don't think you need to. I might be tempted to shuffle those cards away because they don't feel very good. Yeah, I don't like keeping the Spell Pierce. It just... Well, obviously Izzet knows more about this deck than I do as a pass back of the turn to the Infect player. He's going to pass the turn straight back again, not able to find another spell, and we're going to see the Spell Pierce flip the Delver of Secrets into a second Insectile Aberration. This is now 6 points of damage, a 2-turn clock, plus the Lightning Bolt and the Spell Pierce. Unfortunately, I think that Izzet may have found his way to a 2-0 very quick victory here against Infect. An Infect deck, which was 2-1, not quite able to pull through. However, we've already made to eat our words once. Let's see what can be done by Matt on this turn. He's going to draw for the turn. Does he find anything? Looks like he's going to show a hand of 2 lands and Apostle's Blessing. And Isaac Dearlove and his Izzet's Blitz deck taking down Matt Lawson's Infect deck 2 games to 0.
Apparently Infect is a thing in Pauper.
Yes, what I would like to say is I think there is many things that are a thing in Pauper, and that is one of the wonderful things about the format, and one of the things that I enjoy so much about doing coverage of Pauper here at Darksphere in London is that pretty much you can play whatever you want, and it will probably be fine, and you will have fun, and that is the most important thing with Pauper, is the enjoyment factor that the game brings to so many people. As I said, we had 24 players here in the room at Darksphere for a Monday Night Pauper, and for those of you who would want to join us for Pauper, we do it each Monday. Sign-ups start about 6:30, finish at 7, and it would be very nice to see as many of you down here as possible. It is a fantastic community of players, but that does bring us to the end of round number 4, and unfortunately will bring us to the end of our coverage here on our Monday Night Pauper. It's not the end of coverage for the week, though. We have Legacy tomorrow with our fellow co-commentators from the Legacy division. We are back on Wednesday with Modern. You'll have myself and Chris Wingrave back there, looking forward to the Jace and the Bloodbride Elf unbannings and what that brings to the Modern format. And obviously back next Monday with more Pauper action. Thank you very much, Will, for joining me today. It was a pleasure. Buddy. Definitely very enjoyable. Is there anything you'd like to pick up before you go? Something you felt from today? Something you felt enjoyable?
How many times did we not see Delver flip?
Oh, it was wonderful. Oh, it was wonderful not seeing Delvers flip.
I love it. I hate it when my own Delver doesn't flip. I love it when my opponent's Delver doesn't flip.
And when you're in the commentary booth, you love it all the time because it's an even more interesting game. It does give us a little bit more time in the game, as a 1-1 versus a 3-2 flyer definitely makes a big difference. But yes, we will definitely be back. Myself, and I'm not sure who'll be in the chair. Maybe Chris, maybe Jack when he gets back. We shall soon, maybe even Will. We shall have to wait and see. It depends on what the boss decides to do. But thank you very much for watching. It's been another wonderful Monday Night Pauper here from Darksphere in London. John Partridge, William Leach, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next week. Bye. Bye.